Because I've seen enough of the real son versus fake son drama. The first thing I did after returning to the wealthy family was to say this to the 4 sisters who protected the fake son. You don't want me as a real brother, and I don't want to acknowledge you as sisters either. Since you only consider Mu Xian as your real brother in your hearts, then he's the only brother you have. If you want to keep him, fine, just don't come bothering me in the future. These words made the 4 Mu daughters' faces change drastically. Father Mu and Pei Shuero were both angry and anxious. I look at Pei Shuero's sad expression and sigh. You and Dad, don't overthink it. Since I'm willing to come back, it means I genuinely acknowledge you. But that's all, just you. I have no interest in being snubbed. I am the noble young lord of the City of Wrongful Death. It's always others who flatter me. When did it become my turn to swallow my pride and force myself to please others? Since I've taken over Mu Chen's body, I've formed a karmic bond with him. Father Mu and Pei Shuero treat me sincerely, so naturally I will honor and care for them, treat them as my own parents. As for the others, I'll see how it goes. In the silence, suddenly a sobbing sound breaks out. Everyone at the table looks over involuntarily. They see Mu Xian with red eyes, crying. Mom, Dad, sisters, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. Little brother, please don't blame the sisters. Before he can finish, I rudely cut him off. All right, stop crying here. You think you're putting on a show? You may love the act, but I don't have the time to listen. So what exactly do you want? If worst comes to worst, I'll leave and give you all your happy family back. Saying that, I make to stand up and leave. Mu Xian is flushed red from my biting words. He can't even get a word out. Chen, child, what nonsense are you talking? This is your real home. How can you just leave like that? Pei Shuero rushes, reaches out and firmly grips my wrist. Afraid I'll actually leave if I'm displeased. This will always be your home. You can do whatever you like. No one in this house has the right to criticize you. After saying that, she secretly glares at her daughters. As expected, daughters are born to be debts. Father Mu also gives his daughters a hard glare. That's right, you are the master of this house. If anyone doesn't like you, they can get out. From now on, do whatever makes you comfortable. Let's see who dares to have any objection to you. I'm quite satisfied with Father Mu and his wife's attitude. At least this couple knows what's important. If they had been muddle-headed and unclear, and insisted on favoring the adopted son over their own son, then my attitude toward them would have been just average. Mu Xian feels both embarrassed and hurt. He wishes he could disappear from here immediately, but he really doesn't have the courage. He's no longer the young master of the Mu family. Now he's just an adopted son living under someone else's roof. Thinking of this, he feels even more distressed. Pei Shuero looks at Mu Xian and gently comforts him. Xiao Xian, don't cry here either. Haven't we already discussed this? Chen is Chen. You are still you. There's no conflict between you two. Just stay at home and be at ease. Mu Xian is still sobbing continuously. I just feel too sorry for little brother. I pause in the middle of eating a bite of food. Can you just stop already? You say you feel sorry for me, but I don't see you offering to leave the Mu family. Since you've already chosen to stay, then stop putting on that aggrieved face. It's really nauseating to look at, and I am not your real little brother. From now on, just call me by my name. Of course I see what Mu Xian is scheming. He just wants to put on a pitiful, wronged appearance, so everyone will feel sorry for him and protect him, right? Such low-level tricks are nothing to me. If he likes to act, let him. But if he doesn't know when to quit, then don't blame me for not sparing my parents' face. Mu Xian's expression freezes instantly. Feels like he's been slapped in public. His face alternates between pale and red. He's practically fuming inside, but he can't vent in front of everyone. After my blunt outburst in front of everyone, if he continues to pretend to be wronged, it would be too obvious. Mu Yue is the youngest of the 4 sisters. She's usually the most hot-tempered and impatient. Seeing this, she immediately wants to defend Mu Xian, but is held back tightly by Mu Wanting beside her. Mu Wanting looks at me sitting across. Her eyes are full of curiosity and scrutiny. This little brother really seems a bit special. Mu Wanting's eyes flicker slightly. Welcome back to this family. Mom and Dad were absolutely right. From now on, this is your home. You can do whatever makes you comfortable from now on, completely without caring about others' feelings. What happened today was indeed our oversight. We thought you and Dad wouldn't be back so soon, so we all went out to handle some matters. Please don't overthink it. We are all very happy that you've come home. I give him a faint glance. Don't respond. Seeing the eldest daughter take the initiative to speak, Father Mu's expression finally eases a bit. He turns and instructs the servant to continue serving dishes. Today they had the kitchen prepare a big feast. They prepared all kinds of flavors, because they didn't know what I like to eat. Oh Dad, where did Xiao Chen live before? Where are his previous family? How should we handle these relationships in the future? It's Mu Wanting who suddenly thinks of something, and asks casually, pretending to be nonchalant. After speaking, she notices Father Mu's expression change slightly. Mu Wanting's heart stirs. Dad, why did you suddenly go silent? Is there something difficult to say about this? We're all a family now. Little brother's matters are naturally our matters. You really don't have to keep hiding it from us. It seems this meal can't go on peacefully. If you want to know, just ask me directly. I pick up a napkin and lightly wipe the corner of my mouth. I was taken in by an old Taoist priest since I was little. I lived in a rundown Taoist temple. That temple was built on a remote, barren mountain. The conditions were very poor. There was barely any incense income. Master and I barely had enough to eat. So I never formally went to school. Master taught me reading and writing in the temple. From childhood to adulthood, I hardly ever went down the mountain. Master passed away 3 months ago due to old age. After Master left, I lived alone in the temple. Until recently, Dad finally found me, and then brought me back here. I pause slightly, and then add, that temple is now completely closed. After all, I'm no longer there. Of course, if I ever want to go back someday, I can still go back alone and continue living there. I finished telling my past in just a few words. My tone remains very calm and indifferent throughout. There's no complaint in my words, nor any hint of a sob story, even less any accusation against fate. But Pei Shuero and Father Mu are deeply pained hearing this. Both of them involuntarily redden their eyes. Mu Wanting and her three sisters are stunned. Their emotions are mixed. They never imagined that their real brother, while they were unaware, should have been the noble young master of the Mu family, should have been cherished in everyone's palms, and doted on. Mu Yue even starts to feel a bit guilty, feeling that her attitude just now was indeed too much, was indeed too excessive. Mu Xin sees this, silently groans in his heart. Oh no, he is convinced that I am absolutely scheming and deep. That speech I just gave was clearly deliberate, deliberately pretending to be pitiful to win everyone's sympathy. He reflexively wants to apologize again, but suddenly remembers my attitude earlier. The words reach his lips, but he swallows them back. He changes his phrasing, changed to a self-proclaimed clever. Your phrasing. Xiao Chun, now that you've come home, your days from now on will definitely get better and better. You just got back to this family. You must still be adjusting. If there's anything you're unfamiliar with or don't understand, you can come to me anytime. I'll do my best to help you. If you don't mind, if you're willing, I can take you out for a walk and show you around. Help you get familiar with the environment here as soon as possible. Oh, all right then. Thank you. Pei Shuero held my hand tightly and said these words. Her eyes revealed deep worry and guilt. Mom, I'm fine. My master and I were doing well before. Even though life was indeed tough, the Taoist temple was quiet and comfortable. Master was very kind to me. From childhood to adulthood, I was actually very happy. What I just said wasn't a lie. The real Mu Chen really was very happy before. Over so many years, even though the temple's living conditions weren't good, his master had always loved him dearly. He did everything he could to give him the best. Besides, there were barely any people in the temple. The relationships around him were simple and pure. He lived every day freely and without restraint. When he was lonely as a child, he'd go to the back mountain to play with animals. Even alone, he could have a great time in the mountains. Days were carefree, without a worry. Mu Chen once said, he never thought of it as suffering. For him, the real suffering was when his master was gravely ill, when the illness was incurable and there was no hope. His master was his only family in this world, his last emotional and spiritual anchor. It was also the first time he tasted the pain of separation by death. After his master passed away, he stayed alone in the temple, with no one around to confide in. Every day was lonely, bleak and desolate. Half a month before Father Mu found him, Mu Chen went to the back mountain to gather firewood, and accidentally fell off a cliff. On the remote, barren mountain, he was all alone. No one knew about the fall, so he died quietly, without a sound. After death, his soul went directly to the City of Wrongful Death, and I happened to return to the city to handle routine matters. When I saw Mu Chen's soul, I discovered his fate was unique. According to his birth date and facial features, he was destined for wealth and a smooth life, an extremely rare fate of both fortune and longevity. Such a fate is usually the reward for accumulated merit over lifetimes. But now he had appeared in the City of Wrongful Death. This proved he had died an untimely, violent death. His original fate had been altered by human intervention. Coincidentally, there was a big problem recently in the City of Wrongful Death. I needed to personally come to the mortal world for a visit. So I approached him and made a fair deal. I borrow Mu Chen's identity in the human world to handle matters, each getting what we need. That's how everything I've experienced in the Mu family today came about. But they definitely wouldn't believe what I just said. Especially Father Mu and Pei Shuero, that couple. They'd only think their biological son is a considerate, kind-hearted child. They'd think I said all this just to comfort them. In their hearts, they grieve for their poor son, who was born destined to be a wealthy young master, yet grew up away from home, suffering for over a decade for nothing. From now on, they swore to doubly compensate their real son. The atmosphere at the dinner table grew heavy because of my words. Everyone was lost in their own complicated thoughts. The four Mu sisters didn't keep picking fights either. They all silently bowed their heads and ate quietly. Father Mu and Pei Shuero's hearts were wholly on me. From time to time, they'd gently ask if the food suited my taste. Chen, which dish do you like best? Would you like Mom to ladle you some hot soup? They took care of me with meticulous attention. Mu Xian, sitting to the side, could barely hide his disappointment. Mu Yue saw this and wanted to say something several times, but when her gaze swept over me, her real brother, she suddenly remembered what I had said earlier. The words on the tip of her tongue involuntarily swallowed back down. I just focused on savoring the delicious food on the table. This scene, to the Mu family, took on a different meaning. Pei Shuero looked at me with tears in her eyes, her heart aching beyond measure. It was obvious. Her son, back in the mountains, must have rarely had the chance to eat such rich and delicious food. After all, living in a remote, dilapidated temple on a barren mountain. You can imagine how harsh the living conditions were. Just having enough to eat each day was already good, let alone having the opportunity to taste delicacies. Pei Shuero had already made a secret decision. From now on, she would cook different dishes for me every day. After dinner, all the children sat properly in the living room. Father Mo, in the name of bonding with me, the newly returned son, I sprawled comfortably on the large leather sofa in the center, staring with great interest at the enormous LCD TV in front, watching the images on screen with relish. Chen, do you like watching TV? Pei Shuero asked with a gentle smile. My eyes were glued to the TV, and I nodded vigorously. This TV is so interesting. The pictures in it are much more entertaining than opera on stage. I haven't been to this bustling mortal world in a long time. I didn't expect the world to have changed so much. I feel like a country bumpkin who just arrived in the city. Seeing me like this, Pei Shuero's eyes reddened again. Her poor biological son, already so grown up, hadn't even properly watched the TV. Just as she was thinking, the show on TV suddenly cut to commercials. Pei Shuero immediately picked up the remote on the table. Chen, let mom change the channel for you. The drama you were watching ended for today. Let's switch to another channel and check out other programs. There are plenty of interesting shows to watch. I obediently nodded, putting on a very well-behaved and docile appearance. Pei Shuero casually pressed the remote and changed the channel. Seeing the new channel was playing a family ethics drama, she put down the remote. But not long after, the whole family's expressions turned awkward, especially Mu Xian, sitting to the side. His fair, delicate face instantly flushed bright red. His eyes were full of barely concealed shame and frustration. What a coincidence. The plot on TV was exactly about the switched identities of real and fake sons. A story of two children accidentally swapped at birth. And today just happened to show the part where the real son is found. Pei Shuero was completely stunned by the TV scene. I had randomly switched to a channel, and the plot on screen mirrored our family situation exactly. The scene was incredibly awkward. In the drama, the protagonist is brought home by his biological parents. The real son returns, but the adopted son stays. Not only do they not send him away, they even spoil him more, treating him better than their own son. They treat the adopted child like a treasure, while the real son is treated like grass. In the living room, an inexplicably awkward atmosphere instantly spread, and I just had to casually comment, people in this world, why don't they cherish their own son, but instead favor an adopted one? Even though raising someone for years, it's understandable to be reluctant to part, but you can't wrong your own child. I kept shaking my head in bewilderment. The Mu family felt I was insinuating, but unfortunately they had no proof. Although they hadn't sent Mu Xian away, they absolutely hadn't favored him either. They hadn't neglected or wronged Mu Chen. They really were reluctant to let Mu Xian go. After all, they had raised him for over a decade. Feelings accumulate over time. It's not something you can just discard on a whim. But they were clear, no matter how much they doted on Mu Xian, he would never surpass Mu Chen. So they thought Mu Chen was only commenting on the TV show, definitely not hinting at them. Even if it was a hint, then it was directed at the older sisters. Father Mu and Pei Shuero silently comforted themselves, hiding the guilt in their hearts. At first they had considered sending Mu Xian away. Mu Xian was about to become an adult. They could buy him a place outside, send him living expenses on time, and support him until he finished college. But their daughters vehemently opposed, strongly dissuading them. Plus they themselves were soft-hearted. Father Mu glared fiercely at the daughters. Mu Xian really couldn't stay any longer. Covering his face, he sobbed quietly. Turning around, he ran all the way upstairs. I look over in confusion. What's wrong with him now? Mu Yue has a grim expression. She forces herself not to speak. Pei Shuero smiles a bit forcefully. It's nothing. Maybe, probably just not used to it yet. I frown slightly. So if I'm going to live here from now on, wouldn't he cry every day? That would be so annoying. Pei Shuero is instantly left speechless. She feels a bit weary inside. Are you doing this on purpose? Mu Yue finally can't hold it in. I immediately look away, innocently blinking. What do you mean on purpose? Mu Yue glares at me through gritted teeth. You deliberately provoked her just now. Mom and Dad said they would make it up to you. What more could you want? You won't be happy until you drive Mu Xian away. Now I get it. I toss the remote onto the table and stand up straight, coldly glancing at Mu Yue. So are you trying to drive me away instead? Just to make way for your precious brother? I can't even speak in my own home. I have to consider the feelings of that young master. After saying that, I turn and leave. The living room instantly falls silent. Father Mu angrily rushes over and says a few words to the youngest daughter. He scolds her until Mu Yue begs for mercy. I'm warning you all. If you ever treat Mu Chen like this again, I'll kick you all out. His expression turns extremely stern. You all need to understand. Mu Chen is your real brother. Your blood brother from the same mother. In this matter of him and Mu Xian switching identities, he is far more innocent than Mu Xian. You only worry about Mu Xian being wronged. Why don't you think about all these years? How much your own brother has suffered? How much hardship he's endured? The Mu family doesn't mind continuing to support him, but he must never be placed above Mu Chen. Father Mu's gaze falls on the youngest daughter. His face is very unpleasant. You and Mu Xian are about the same age, and have been closest since childhood. I understand you protecting him, but you must be clear. Mu Chen has done nothing wrong. He doesn't owe any of you anything. I'll only say this once. If anyone dares to make Mu Chen sad again, I'll skin them alive. Mu Yue's mouth twitches. She feels this is directed at her. Dad, don't worry. We know our limits. Mu Wanting speaks up, explaining today's events again. We thought you wouldn't arrive so soon, so we agreed to watch his game. If we had known you'd come back early, I definitely wouldn't have gone. Mu Rulin and Mu Yakin nod. These two are twin sisters. Father Mu and Pei Shuero go upstairs with dark faces, leaving the four sisters in the living room looking at each other. Big sister, don't you think our brother seems a bit? Mu Rulin pauses. It takes her a while to come up with the right word to describe the brother who just came home. His personality is quite special. Mu Wanting recalls tonight's events and nods in agreement. He's someone who won't take a loss lying down. One word from him and you're done for. But he doesn't seem to be doing it on purpose. He's not deliberately trying to provoke anyone. He just says whatever comes to mind. He just doesn't understand tact. His personality is too straightforward. Then she thinks of the other brother's behavior. She can't help frowning. Mu Xian is indeed too sensitive. If he continues like this and doesn't adjust his mindset in time, he'll be the one suffering in the end. Like Dad just said, even if we've lived with him for over a decade and have deep feelings, favoring him can't mean repeatedly and endlessly wronging the real brother for his sake. So this mindset has to change. Mu Wanting turns to look at Mu Yue. You and Mu Xian are the closest, and closest in age. You should talk to him and guide him. Tell him not to overthink things. Now that Mu Chen is back, mom and dad are bound to favor him, which is only natural, but they won't stop loving him either. He's still their son. Mu Yue, though young and impulsive, is definitely not stupid. She nods solemnly. I understand. Also, Mu Wanting stiffens, putting on the authority of the eldest sister. You need to treat Mu Chen better from now on, or else don't blame me for disciplining you. After scolding the youngest sister, Mu Wanting also gets up and returns to her room. Mu Ruolin and Mu Yakin exchange a glance. Let's go. Mu Yue is quite upset. What kind of situation is this? It was clearly everyone's doing. So why is it all my fault in the end? I don't care what people downstairs think. Back in my room, I closed the door directly. This room was carefully prepared by my parents. It's decorated very exquisitely, both in design and furnishings, all in a style that young boys like. Luckily, it's not pink. Otherwise, staying in such a room, I'm afraid I'd be up all night. Just as I enter the room, I sense a strange fluctuation in the air. I gently wave my hand, setting up a barrier around the room, to avoid anyone noticing anything unusual and arousing unnecessary suspicion. Immediately after, a man in a black robe suddenly appears in the room, wearing a mask of a little demon. The man walks up to me, kneeling on one knee. Your Highness. I look at him, frowning. Why are you here? As soon as I ask, I have a bad feeling. Sure enough, the city lord sent me to deliver a message. The elder sister has returned to the City of Wrongful Death. Wasn't she always in the 6th hall? How long has it been since she returned to the City of Wrongful Death? How come just as I arrived in the human world, she goes back to the City of Wrongful Death? Before leaving, I was still hoping, thinking she'd finish her business and report back directly. The elder sister hasn't even returned to the City of Wrongful Death yet. But heaven does not obey man's wishes. Just as I snuck out, she followed right back, thinking of the warnings she once gave me. A flicker of guilt passes through my eyes. The elder sister repeatedly warned me back then, absolutely not to come to the human world without permission. To handle city affairs, must first discuss. But I happened to meet Mu Chen, and thought the timing was perfect. So while the elder sister was away, I arranged everything myself. With the elder sister's strict nature, I'm afraid I'll be scolded this time. Reporting, Your Highness. The city lord has returned to the City of Wrongful Death. He discovered that Your Highness came to the human world without permission. He is very angry, so he ordered me to deliver a message. After speaking, he rises and makes a gesture of sincerity. A faint light flashes in midair, and an envelope materializes out of thin air. Then the envelope slowly disappears, and a line of text clearly appears, wavering slightly in the air, before quickly dissipating into the air. Though the time was very short, I saw it very clearly. It's said to be a line of text, but actually it's just 4 words, arriving soon. This is really worrying. The elder sister coming to the human world. That's not good, is it? The masked man's voice is flat. Your Highness's decision cannot be changed by anyone, meaning I should stop overthinking. Just be ready to welcome her. I instantly fell silent. The man quickly vanished from the room. Like a deflated ball, I felt completely drained. Big sister is coming. How does she plan to come? If she came as the city lord, that would be fine. That way, she definitely wouldn't stay long. Thinking about it, my hope was rekindled. As for being held accountable by him later, I was thinking of the City of Wrongful Death. Considering that, he wouldn't be too harsh. On the 3rd day, when the Mu family came downstairs, they saw me watching TV in the living room, and their footsteps instantly halted. They blinked hard, looked at the big clock in the living room, and for a moment, everyone fell silent. It was only just past 6 in the morning. Hearing the sound behind me, I was so absorbed in the TV that I got distracted, turned my head to look at the people coming downstairs, and casually greeted them. Good morning. After greeting, I immediately turned back to continue watching, looking so focused, as if I didn't want to waste a single second. Pei Shuiro was stunned for a moment, then came back to her senses, walked straight over to me, and slowly sat down beside me. She first glanced at the TV, the screen showing the morning news. Chen, you like watching TV so much. Why not have someone install one in your room? That way you can watch in your room too. Pei Shuiro now only wanted to fulfill all her son's wishes without restraint. My eyes lit up at her words, and I was about to nod in agreement. But Mu Wanting, coming downstairs, spoke before me. Mom, that's not really appropriate. If we put a TV in little brother's room, and he gets too engrossed, what if he doesn't sleep at night? He's still growing. Hearing this, it reminded Mother, given how absorbed her son was, if a TV were installed in his room, he would definitely stay up all night watching. That absolutely wouldn't do. She quickly changed her words. I didn't think that through. That really won't work. Can't affect Chen's rest. Better watch in the living room. Mom can watch with you. We can discuss the plot together. The beautiful wish of watching TV all night was shattered. I gave Mu Wanting a mournful look. This eldest sister really doesn't like me. She won't even let me watch TV. In comparison, big sister seems better after all. Pei Shuiro sensed her son was unhappy, amused yet full of sympathy. Which kid nowadays isn't glued to their phone? TV is nothing special to them. But her son found it so novel. Who would believe that? She coaxed him in a soft voice. Having it in your room really isn't convenient. It'll affect your sleep at night. You can't stay in your room all the time. Rooms are for sleeping. If you like watching, watch in the living room. No one at home likes watching TV. No one will fight you for it. I thought about it and understood the reasoning. I obediently nodded, then emphasized one thing. But you absolutely can't fight me for the remote. Pei Shuiro couldn't help but chuckle, her eyes full of affection. All right, the whole TV at home is yours alone. Whoever dares to change the channel on you, I'll help you deal with them. As she spoke, she gave a pointed glare at her daughters who were coming downstairs one by one. Mu Wanting's mouth twitched slightly. How long had it been since she watched TV? Why would she fight her little brother over it? If anyone would, it would be the fourth sister. Mu Wanting glanced at her fourth sister, Mu Yue, who immediately looked like a cat with its tail stepped on. Big sister, what are you staring at me for? Do you think I would fight him for the channel? I'm not that childish. The moment she jumped to retort, I, sitting in the living room, Pei Shuero, the other three Mu daughters, and Mu Xian and Father Mu, who had just come downstairs, all looked at her. Their expressions varied. I leisurely added a jab. Even if you wanted to fight me, you'd have to see if you have the skill. Pei Shuero immediately snapped at her youngest daughter. From now on, you're not allowed to fight Xiao Chun for the TV. You hear me? If I find out you're bullying him, I'll have your dad cut off all your allowance. Not a single penny left. Mu Yue immediately looked wronged, like a frog, covering her cheeks. With a face full of indignation, she secretly glared at me several times. I didn't even spare her a glance. This made her so angry she didn't even want breakfast. Normal kids at this age are usually in their senior year of high school. Mu Xian should be taking the college entrance exam next June. Mu Chun, logically, should be the same, but he had lived in a Taoist temple before and never received a formal systematic education. And his age is what it is. So which grade should he start from? Straight to senior year? Can he keep up? The enrollment paperwork is easy enough, but deciding which grade is troubling. Father Mu's frown grew deeper. He brought up the matter of school with me. I took the opportunity to learn about this world. Mu Xian, who was nearby, rolled his eyes and suggested with a smile, Dad, why not let Xiao Chen join our class? That way I can look after him conveniently and help him with his studies. I didn't even look at him. Father Mu was a bit tempted, but worried his son couldn't keep up. If he can't keep up, his grades will be poor. Mu Xian's grades have always been excellent. Comparing the two, and the fact that the Mu family had the babies switched, that news couldn't be hidden in their social circle. They hadn't planned to hide it anyway. Once everyone finds out, they'll inevitably compare the two. What if it hurts their son's self-esteem? Mu Wanting spoke calmly. Dad, don't worry too much about that. If little brother can't keep up, we can hire a private tutor for one-on-one help. We can also teach him ourselves when we're free. This semester is almost over. Little brother can start next semester. In the meantime, he can catch up on lessons. I believe it won't be a big problem. Pei Shuero's eyes lit up, and she clapped her hands happily. Right? Why didn't I think of that? We can hire a private tutor. Except for the fourth daughter, who isn't great at studying. You three all have excellent grades. Tutoring Xiao Chun in senior year lessons is definitely no problem. With that, she made her decision. Let Xiao Chun rest at home for a couple of days first. Then you three sisters take turns, each tutoring one subject. To help Xiao Chun get familiar with the school curriculum quickly, Mu Wanting nodded. Okay. The eldest sister nodded in agreement. The second and third sisters also nodded. Mu Yue didn't know whether to be relieved or annoyed that she was looked down upon. I had intended to refuse, but seeing that all three sisters agreed, and Pei Shuero was so enthusiastic, I silently swallowed my refusal. Mu Xian bit his lower lip, lowered his eyes, hiding the deep resentment in them. The matter of the Mu family raising the wrong child was no secret in their circle. His parents had never intended to hide it. In fact, they had long planned, once I was familiar with the environment, to hold a banquet, invite all the socialites in their circle, and openly restore my identity, so that in the future, I wouldn't be mocked or wronged. Although I don't like such occasions, I understand it's a necessary process. Otherwise, the outside world would surely start speculating wildly, thinking that I, the true young master, am not welcome, or even that I'm being suppressed by Mu Xian, the fake young master. Once I'd adapted a little to the new environment, Pei Shuero couldn't wait to drag me on a crazy shopping spree at the mall, except for the eldest sister and father, who had to work. Everyone else was dragged along to go shopping with me, leaving only Mu Xian behind on purpose. Mu Yue sat in the passenger seat, puffing with anger and glaring at me from the rearview mirror every so often. I didn't even bother lifting my eyelids. I knew exactly what she was mad about without even thinking. Mu Xian himself didn't want to come along. Did they expect me to beg him to join? When we arrived at the mall parking lot, Mu Yue rushed to park the car. Mu Ruolin and Mu Yakin accompanied our mother and me as we walked through the mall entrance. Starting today's shopping trip, the Mu sisters were tasked with carrying the bags the whole time. Pei Shuero held my arm affectionately. As we walked, I suddenly stopped, tilted my head, and listened carefully for a moment. Mom, did you hear a strange noise? I think I just heard a thud, like something fell from a height and hit the ground hard, and it definitely wasn't an ordinary object. The sound was very distinctive. Pei Shuero listened too. No, I don't hear anything. This is a big mall. It's very noisy here. Even if some sound did carry over, it would just be the crowd's hubbub. Just as she said that, Mu Ruolin noticed something was wrong up ahead. Faint screams could also be heard. Mom, it looks like something happened up front. A glint flashed in my eyes. I turned and grabbed Pei Shuero's wrist. Mom, let's go take a look. Before anyone else could stop me, I had already pulled my mother and rushed off, pushing through the crowd toward the scene, leaving the sisters staring at each other in place. Why is he so nosy? Mu Yue had parked the car and caught up, muttering. Mu Ruolin shot her a cold glance. If Mom hears you, you'll definitely get scolded again. Mu Yue rolled her eyes speechlessly. We should go after them and check it out too. If something really goes wrong, Mom and little brother could be in danger. Mu Yakin said calmly, and followed after them. Mu Ruolin also quickened her pace to catch up. Mu Yue trudged slowly at the back. Pei Shuero was pulled along by her son at a jog, and soon they reached the crowd. watching her son push his way into the crowd. She couldn't help twitching her lips. I never would have guessed. Chen usually seems so cold and indifferent. But he's actually a kid who loves to watch the excitement. That makes him even cuter, doesn't it? But when Pei Shuuro saw the scene ahead clearly, her face instantly turned pale. She let out a terrified scream and instinctively stepped in front of me. Feeling that still wasn't enough protection, she quickly turned and covered my eyes, blocking me from seeing the horrifying scene. A serious accident had happened in the mall. I just wanted to see what was going on. Why did she have to cover my eyes? I'm someone from the Underworld. I could tell at a glance how that person died. If it was really a wrongful death, then they'd go to my City of Wrongful Death and become one of my own subordinates. Sigh, the City of Wrongful Death is almost full now. Mom, I'm not a little kid anymore. I'm not scared. I gently pulled Pei Shuuro's hand down and said with extreme calm. Pei Shuuro shot me a displeased look. How are you not a little kid? You haven't even had your birthday yet. What a blunder. I, an ancient ghost over 1,000 years old, have now become a little child. Mu Ruolin caught up and also stood in front of me. I helplessly rubbed my forehead. Mall security came out to handle the situation immediately, and at the same time called the police and an ambulance. They began dispersing the dense crowd of onlookers. Pei Shuuro wasn't about to let me be nosy, and forcefully pulled me away quickly. Affected by this incident after all, Pei Shuuro felt we had bought enough, and thought about heading back home first. We could come to the mall another day. When something this life-threatening happens, it really feels unlucky. Mom, you all go wait in the car first. I'll go to the corridor to get some air. Pei Shuuro wanted to come with me, but I firmly refused. I'm not a 3-year-old baby. I don't need a parent glued to my side just to get some air. I followed the signs to the long corridor. When I stood by the window in the hallway, a young man walked over. He was startled when he saw me standing by the window, then lowered his head and hurried past. I fixed my gaze on his back, my nostrils slightly flaring. I sniffed the air lightly and caught a whiff of the smell of death. I deliberately dawdled by the window. Soon the man came back. Seeing me still standing at the window, he froze for a moment, apparently not expecting I still hadn't left. I waited calmly for him to come closer, then sniffed again carefully, confirming that I had indeed detected the smell of death coming from him. Although it was very faint, I couldn't help giving him a long, hard look. What are you looking at? Never seen a handsome guy before? He noticed my stare right away, as if I had stepped on his sore spot, and immediately shot back. Then he hurried away with panicked steps. That back view exuded guilt and anxiety. If a person is about to die soon, their body carries a heavy aura of death. That man clearly wasn't like that. So there were only two possibilities. Either he had caught it from someone else, or he had killed someone himself. The first possibility had too many variables. Hard to draw a conclusion. The second scenario was much simpler and clearer. I couldn't help thinking about the young girl, who had fallen from an upper floor in the mall just now. I calmly clapped my hands together, turned and left. Pei Shuuro was waiting anxiously in the car, having just experienced such a horrifying incident. She had an uneasy feeling in her heart, afraid that her newly found son might get into trouble. It wasn't until we were safely back home that her hanging heart finally settled down. Soon she put the mall incident out of her mind and busied herself organizing the things we bought. As for me, the moment I got home I collapsed on the sofa, turned on the TV, and continued watching with great interest. Becoming a hardcore TV addict, Mu Ruolin and Mu Yakin went to their rooms to study. Both sisters were top students and would be seniors next year, so their schoolwork had become extremely busy. Mu Yue was the most idle. She plopped down on the living room sofa. Seeing Mom busy upstairs, she couldn't help running her mouth and couldn't resist sneering. Country bumpkin. What's so interesting about TV? You've never seen the world. I kept my eyes glued to the TV screen, but my ears caught her words. I nodded and admitted with total frankness, yeah. I grew up in a Taoist temple deep in the mountains. Of course I haven't seen much of the world. I am a prince of the City of Wrongful Death. After my sister dumped everything on me, I was so busy I never had a moment's rest. I really didn't have time to pay attention to trivial human affairs. I only knew the general picture. But now that I've taken over Mu Chen's identity, I have to quickly learn about this world. I think watching TV is the fastest way. I can learn about everything under the sun without leaving home. How convenient and easy is that? Mu Yue was completely choked. You did that on purpose, didn't you? You deliberately mentioned these things to make us feel guilty. You want us to feel sorry for you. So your position in this family is secured. Mu Yue kept chattering on the side. I threw her a contemptuous glance, looking at her as if she were an idiot. Looking at her like she's an idiot. Out of the corner of his eye, he spotted a figure coming down the stairs. Without any psychological pressure, I loudly tattled. Mom. Mu Yue is cursing me again. She called me a country bumpkin and said I'm deliberately trying to make you feel guilty, making you think you owe me something. She can't stand the sight of me. Is she trying to drive me out of this family? Mu Yue's eyes flew wide open. She nearly choked on her own blood. Before she could react at all, her ear was grabbed and twisted by someone. Calm down, Mom. Calm down a bit. Don't listen to his nonsense. I definitely did not. Mu Yue winced in pain, but still tried to defend herself loudly. I reached out, pointing at her nose and face, puffing up with anger. A hint of perfectly timed grievance on my face. He said it himself. He called me a country bumpkin. He said I'd never even seen a TV before. I already explained it. I grew up in a remote mountain temple. It's normal I haven't seen much of the world. Then he started going after me. Mu Yue opened her mouth to retort, but those words had indeed come out of his mouth. But that's not what he meant at all. I think you're itching for a beating. Get over here. Let's see how I deal with you today. Stop bothering your brother while he's watching TV. Pei Shuuro showed no mercy this time. She yanked his ear and pulled him aside, determined to teach this brat a proper lesson. She couldn't understand what was wrong with this child. She had doted on Mu Xian so much before, treated him like a rare treasure. Why, now that Xiao Chun was back, did she target him at every turn? Xiao Chun was her real brother, flesh and blood from the same mother. She couldn't see what mattered. Obviously, she hadn't been disciplined enough. I glanced coldly at Mu Yue, who was crying bitterly, feeling no sympathy at all. I even gave her a smug look, which nearly made Mu Yue explode on the spot. Now I understood completely. Out of the 4 Mu daughters, this Mu Yue had the worst brains. Stupid beyond help. I returned my attention to the TV screen, staring intently at the news channel, as if anxiously waiting for something. Just as expected, the local news broadcast reported the mall incident. Around 11 a.m. today, a fall occurred at the Four Seasons Mall in the city center. A young woman was seriously injured in a sudden accident at the mall. Despite rescue efforts, she sadly passed away. Police are still investigating the specific cause of the fall. She really did die. I narrowed my eyes slightly. Couldn't help thinking of the person I met in the hallway, about the same age, with an extremely nervous and guilty expression. The key thing, he reeked of death. Was that man connected to the deceased? The woman who fell, was it an accident, a slip, or suicide? Or was she murdered? I wished I could go to the scene immediately and investigate, see if her life had simply ended or if she died a violent death. But I had only just returned to the Mu family, and I didn't know this city at all. Going out alone would be nearly impossible. With that thought, I had to put aside that idea for now. After watching the news report, I slowly stood up and walked over to the other side. Pretending to be kind, I said, "Mom, don't scold her anymore." Actually, what she said wasn't wrong. I haven't finished my sentence yet. Mu Yue shouted, full of resentment. I don't need your fake kindness. Now she had stirred up a hornet's nest. Pei Shuero, who had almost calmed down, felt her anger surge back up. Xiao Chun, you don't need to worry about this brat. She's thick-skinned and tough. Even if I break a feather duster on her, she'll be fine. Mom's made you some tonic in the kitchen. Go see if it's ready. Pei Shuero purposefully sent her son away. I glanced at Mu Yue with feigned sympathy, then turned and cheerfully went to the kitchen for food. Mu Yue felt I was just being smug, glaring fiercely at my retreating back. But Pei Shuero caught her in the act. Mu Yue. Today, she was going to break that feather duster for sure. I was still thinking about how to find the man I met in the hallway that day. I never expected the opportunity to come to me. The Mu family was going to hold a grand welcome banquet. Almost all the upper-class socialites and celebrities in Haisha received invitations from the Mu family. On the day of the banquet, the Mu family villa was bustling with activity. Perfume and elegant silhouettes filled the air, glasses clinked, and everywhere you looked, there were glamorous socialites and successful men in suits, gathered in small groups, chatting. I stayed upstairs in my room the whole time. Pei Shuero was busy downstairs, unable to get away, planning to come up and get me when the time was right, to formally introduce me to everyone. I changed into my custom, formal wear, and seeing it was almost time, I walked out of the room. Passing by Mu Xian's room, I paused slightly and pricked up my ears to listen. It's not that I deliberately eavesdropped, but the people inside were counting on the noise downstairs, talking a bit louder than usual. Plus, I'm no ordinary mortal, so with a little effort, I could make out the voice. The woman talking to Mu Xian was my nominal aunt by marriage, my eldest uncle's wife. Because of this grand welcome banquet, the Mu family from the capital had all come, including the eldest uncle's family, who inherited the Mu company, the ancestral home, and most of the assets, as well as the aloof old Madame Mo. Though I felt their sincerity was lacking, the banquet was scheduled for today, yet they had only arrived unhurriedly last night. Old Madame Mu stayed in the Mu family villa, while the eldest branch went straight to a hotel downtown. I rested my chin on my hand, thinking to myself, Mu Xian seemed quite close to the eldest branch. This aunt had, from start to finish, only given me a very dismissive glance, and casually tossed out a few polite phrases. Just as I was thinking, I heard footsteps inside. I quickly retreated back to my own room, only after the two left the room and went downstairs. Did I reopen the door and step out? Pei Shuero happened to come upstairs to find me. Seeing me all dressed up, she immediately smiled, her eyes full of affection and admiration. Xiao Chun, you look so handsome tonight. That was no exaggeration. Pei Shuero figured it was probably thanks to his cultivation background, with little involvement in worldly troubles, that he had cultivated such a clean, translucent temperament. The more she looked, the more she liked him. The more she felt tenderness and affection. She silently swore in her heart that from now on she would do everything to protect her son, keep him exactly as he was, and let him live a carefree life forever. It's almost time. Mom will take you downstairs. After 2 steps, I pretended to casually ask, don't we need to call Mu Xian along? No need. Tonight's banquet is for you. He's with his aunt right now. If we call him, he might overthink things. The kid's been sensitive lately. That also left them not knowing what to do. Aunt seems to dote on him a lot. From what I had gathered recently, the relationship between my cheap father and his eldest brother seemed rather lukewarm. Otherwise, after dividing the family back then, he wouldn't have come directly to Haisha to start over from scratch. Even though they went back to the capital every year for a reunion, that was purely out of respect for old Madame Mo. So why was his aunt so partial to Mu Xian? Pei Shuero didn't find it strange at all. She patiently explained, you know the situation with your father's family. He has an older brother and an older sister. Your uncle and aunt don't have a son. Your aunt did give birth to a son, but in the end, he doesn't carry the Mu surname. I'm the one who gave birth to you, my precious son. I'm the one who gave birth to such a precious son. So saying, Pei Shuero's brows were tinged with guilt. The person who should have enjoyed all this pampering should have been her little Chun. He should have been the young master cherished by the Mu family. But fate played tricks. Thinking of these past events, she felt another pang of sorrow. I raised an eyebrow slightly. So it was because of this. I've been back at the Mu family for over half a month now. Tonight counts as my first official appearance. Pei Shuero and Father Mu accompanied me on either side. I slowly walked down the stairs. My appearance and demeanor instantly captivated everyone, firmly seizing the gaze of every guest present. There was no trace of timidity or shrinking back. The temperament revealed in every move was clearly that of a young master from a wealthy family, meticulously nurtured with endless effort. Mu Xian, seeing me as the center of attention, his heart suddenly tightened. His gaze was fixed on my figure, unable to hide the disappointment and deep jealousy in his heart. Mu Xian, don't panic. Right now he's just putting on an act. Anyone can pretend. It's not hard. You're the young master raised by the Mu family. Don't you ever forget that. You've lived with the Mu family for more than a decade. Even if he's the biological son, so what? Feelings ultimately need time to grow. Lu Manqi noticed Mu Xian's emotional turmoil. She patted the back of his hand reassuringly and comforted him in a soft voice. Mu Xian forced a bitter smile. Aunt, I'm fine. Actually, I'm really happy for them. Mom and Dad found their biological son. That's a wonderful thing. I've enjoyed so many years in the Mu family. In the end, I owe it to little Chen. Lu Manqi gave him an exasperated glare. She scolded in a low voice. What does this have to do with you? Back then, you were just a baby too. It was the parents who failed to watch over him properly. That's how this identity swap happened. No matter who you blame, it shouldn't fall on you. Alright, put your heart at ease. Don't overthink it. I know your parents' character very well. They raised you with genuine care for all these years. Even though their biological son is back now, they will never stop loving you. You need to adjust your mindset. Don't lower your own standing. In short, you remember this. You have done nothing wrong. You haven't wronged anyone. Do you understand? Mu Xian bit his lip. He nodded lightly and said no more bothersome words. His parents indeed would not stop loving him, but it could never be the same as before. Before at home, and even in the entire Mu clan, whether here or in the capital, he was the only golden treasure of the Mu family. The whole family held him in the palm of their hands. They always granted his every wish. Everyone's eyes and hearts were on him. But now, he clearly felt a huge gap. Ever since Mu Chen came back, his parents' eyes no longer held him. Their hearts and eyes were filled only with Mu Chen. Even the few sisters were the same. Only fourth sister still wholeheartedly stayed by him. Thinking about it, Mu Xian felt extremely wronged. Everything that originally belonged to him now had to be forcibly split in half. Who could bear such a fall? While he was lost in thought, Father Mu and Pei Shuero had already introduced me to the guests. With great ceremony, they made no effort to hide their importance and love for me. Even the four Mu sisters stood beside their parents. This scene fell into everyone's eyes, and naturally carried a very different meaning. Mu Xian, the Muse are going too far. The whole family is loving each other over there. Why on earth are you left out? Lu Manqi had gone to socialize. The wealthy young masters who usually hung out with Mu Xian came over. They surrounded him indignantly. Don't talk nonsense. Tonight is little Chen's moment. This banquet is held specially for him. He's the undisputed lead. What would it look like if I butted in? It wasn't that Father Mu and Pei Shuero purposely left him out. Before this, Pei Shuero had suggested that Mu Xian come up on stage together. But Mu Xian had firmly refused. He insisted that Mu Chen was the true young master, and that this banquet was specifically for Mu Chen. So he really shouldn't be standing up there. He spoke very reasonably. Pei Shuero thought it over, and felt that having him stand aside might not be a good thing for him, because it would inevitably invite comparisons, and would only make his situation more awkward. So they dropped the matter. But even though he had dropped it, Mu Xian still felt wronged inside. Although he said this, his tone could not hide his disappointment. This made his friends feel even more indignant for him. Mu Xian, sure, that Mu Chen is the real young master. But you've lived with the Muse for over a decade. Is it right for them to push you aside just because he's back? It's not like the Mu family couldn't afford to raise another son. By order of arrival, he's the outsider who came later. You can't talk about it in terms of first come, first served. He is mom and dad's biological son. He suffered so much in that mountain temple. While I enjoyed all the comforts in the Mu family, it's normal for him to have some resentment. I can understand all that. I definitely won't hold it against him. Mu Xian put on a magnanimous front. His friend beside him curled his lip in disdain. The contempt and scorn in his eyes were undisguised. A wild kid raised in a mountain temple. He probably doesn't even know what a TV looks like. Hard to imagine there are still such bumpkins. You and that bumpkin reeking of dirt. Anyone with half a brain knows who to favor. You are the noble young master molded by the Mu family's money and power. A refined young master cultivated with care. How could that bumpkin compare? If Uncle Mu and Aunt Pei can't see clearly, they'll regret it sooner or later. Just wait for that bumpkin to bring shame to the Mu family and make them use the laughingstock of high society. Mu Xian, you can't be too soft. The more you give in, the easier it is for others to bully you. What's yours, you have to fight for. Mu Xian nodded repeatedly. I know all that. You can rest assured. No one bullies me at home. Fourth sister is still just as good to me as before. Words that seemed to soothe were actually sowing discord. By saying only Mu Yue treats him the same as before, it's the same as implying that the other three sisters no longer care for him as much. Now that they have a biological brother, they've abandoned the adopted one. Mu Xian knew when to stop. He didn't continue. He didn't really want to do anything bad. It's just that after seeing Mu Chen steal the spotlight, he suddenly worried that he would quickly blend into the circle and snatch away all the brilliance that belonged to him. So he thought he'd first plant a seed with his friends. Word spreads from 1 to 10, 10 to 100. Even if it can't really stop anything, at least it might have some effect, right? Just as they were talking, a few people saw the absolute main character of the night. That is me, walking over. Their expressions shifted slightly, but they quickly forced themselves to calm down, comforting themselves. He couldn't have heard what we said. What's there to be afraid of? What's there to feel guilty about? Muxian himself was actually a bit nervous, so he didn't notice that one of his friends, upon seeing me, went pale with fear, then quickly lowered his eyes. His hands unconsciously twisted together tightly, then released just as quickly, as if shocked, forcing a natural composure. You look really handsome tonight. Muxian smiled softly and praised me. I nodded slightly. I am handsome. Isn't that only natural? And speaking of which, it's really some kind of strange fate. His own face actually resembles mine quite a bit. When I saw Mu Chen's soul in the City of Wrongful Death, even I couldn't help but be surprised. I never expected this new, unlucky soul to actually look somewhat like me. Afterward, I thought about it carefully. This must be fate, a destined connection. I accepted the compliment with complete composure, my gaze falling on the man standing beside Mu Xian. This is Mu Xian. He looked somewhat surprised. After glancing at his friend, he introduced, this is my good friend Jiang Yan. He's the young master of the Jiang family. Mu Xian and Jiang Yan have known each other the longest. The two became inseparable friends back in elementary school. They've been together all the way until now. So it's young Master Jiang. I deliberately drew out the final syllable, my tone carrying a hint of meaning. Mu Xian looked at us with a strange expression and asked in confusion, Chen, do you know Jiang Yan? Before I could even answer, Jiang Yan hastily denied it. No, we don't know each other at all, but his reaction was far too rushed, which only made it appear extremely abnormal and suspicious. The smile on my face grew even more meaningful. We really don't know each other. Just ran into each other in the mall corridor a few days ago. I deliberately dragged out my words. Before I could finish, Jiang Yan hurriedly cut me off. I suddenly remembered I have something urgent to handle. I'll head off first. Let's catch up another day. With that, without waiting for Mu Xian to respond, he turned and fled. His retreating figure looked exactly like a rout I'd originally intended to test him out. I didn't expect Jiang Yan's mental fortitude to be so poor. Doesn't that just plainly tell me that something is definitely wrong here? If everything were fine, why would he be so flustered? Thinking this, I couldn't help but turn my gaze to Mu Xian. Mu Xian stiffened all over under my stare, feeling inexplicably nervous and uneasy. Stammering, he asked, what's wrong? Your friend? I spoke at a deliberately slow pace, as if to keep Mu Xian hanging. Chen, if Jiang Yan ever offended you, please don't hold it against him. He definitely didn't mean to offend you. He's actually a pretty good person. I gave an indifferent smile. It's fine, since he's your good friend. Then another day, invite him over to the house. Mu Xian was visibly taken aback, opening his mouth as if to say something, but I didn't give him the chance to speak. Let's make it the day after tomorrow. You invite him over. I'll have the kitchen prepare ahead. Make some fancy desserts to entertain him. The main branch of the family will be back in the capital the day after tomorrow too. My tone was not a negotiation, but a cold, blunt notice. After saying that, I turned and left directly, giving Mu Xian no chance to refuse. I left Mu Xian and his friends staring at each other, their minds full of question marks. There was a reason I set my sights on Jiang Yan. Aside from smelling the scent of death on him that day, there were also related news reports afterward. The news said that girl who fell from the mall that day died from an accidental fall. If it really was an accidental fall, that would be fine. But the problem is, I distinctly sensed resentment. That was the resentment from that fallen girl. Even though I'm now in the mortal world, when a new member is added to the City of Wrongful Death, I can still sense it. Wen Yimo was caught up in a dispute and ultimately fell to her death in an accident. But they covered up the truth. In this world, there are so many people who die naturally and unnaturally every day. I can't sense every person who dies a violent death. Certain conditions must be triggered. I guess it was because I happened to be at the scene that day in the mall and had close contact with the deceased, so I keenly sensed her resentment. The City of Wrongful Death is where those who die unexpectedly stay. Those who pass away naturally go through the normal procedure. The Underworld then judges based on their life deeds where they should go next. Most people are reincarnated. A few ascend to heaven due to merit, and some are sent to the City of Wrongful Death until their original lifespan ends. If they were wrongfully implicated, they must wait for the truth to come out and for their resentment to dissipate before they can continue the cycle of rebirth. But now the City of Wrongful Death is overcrowded. Souls that should have been reincarnated can't leave, forced to be stuck there, day after day, year after year. The City of Wrongful Death still has many people, but fewer and fewer leave. If this continues, the City of Wrongful Death will cease to exist, and countless souls will dissipate along with it. The reason? The gate of rebirth has closed for some unknown reason, and cannot be opened. Naturally, the ghosts cannot leave. My elder sister and I pondered this problem for a long time, tried many methods, but couldn't solve it. Later, Shidagarbo Bodhisattva gave us a hint, and only then did my elder sister and I suddenly understand. And that's why I came to the mortal world. My purpose here is to collect merit and faith, to reopen the gate of rebirth, and restore the City of Wrongful Death to operation. Now that an opportunity has come knocking on its own, I can't very well push it away, can I? Mu Xian racked his brains, but couldn't figure out what I was trying to do. After the banquet, he told Pei Shuero about it. He had originally thought, given how much Pei Shuero seemed to care about me now, she might refuse. Unexpectedly, she agreed happily. In Pei Shuero's case, he couldn't get out. When he ran into Mu Yue, his eyes flickered, and as usual he greeted her, but with a look as if he wanted to say something but stopped. Anyone with eyes could see he had something on his mind, let alone Mu Yue, who cared about him. Originally, Mu Yue wanted to avoid him. She felt a bit guilty about tonight's matter. She thought Xiao Xian had been wronged, but there was nothing she could do. Xiao Xian grew up with her, and they had spoiled him for over 10 years. But Xiao Chun was also her own brother. Both sides were dear to her. If they let Xiao Xian suffer no injustice, only to let Xiao Chun be the one wronged, that certainly wouldn't do. If she dared to do that, her parents would dare to kick her out of the house. So for a moment, she didn't know how to face him, and thought it better to avoid Xiao Xian. But seeing his troubled expression, hesitating yet fearful, she still felt sorry for him. Xiao Xian, do you have something you want to tell your fourth sister? Mu Xian bit his lip, hesitated for a moment. Fourth sister, Xiao Chun. I don't know if Jiang Yan offended Xiao Chun, and that's why he's unhappy. If that really is the case, then I'm willing to apologize on Jiang Yan's behalf. But Xiao Chun, he told me to invite Jiang Yan over to the house. Fourth sister, do you think Xiao Chun is trying to cause trouble? Mu Yue's brows furrowed tightly. Clearly, she also found my move strange. After thinking, she said, it's fine. I'm free anyway. I'll stay home that day. I won't let him do anything reckless. Mu Xian was silent. He wondered if he could just forget it. Xiao Chun is also my brother. Jiang Yan is my friend. I can't let things get out of hand. Mu Yue nodded. Don't worry. I'll handle it. Just go along with it for now. I don't want them to have any conflict. Mu Yue scratched her head. Xiao Xian, you know how things are at home now. If he wants to invite your friend over, Mom and Dad will definitely agree. Not only will they agree, they'll be very happy. So there's no reason to refuse. If he says no, he'll definitely make his mom laugh at him. Seeing Mu Xian's dejected expression, Mu Yue patted her chest and assured him, don't worry. I'll keep an eye on him then. I definitely won't let him bully Jiang Yan. With things said to this point, Mu Xian had no other option. The reason he wanted to stop it was also because of an inexplicable unease in his heart. He still trusted his intuition, but he couldn't stop it. So he had to think of another way. All in all, the family reunion dinner tonight was quite successful. Grandma Mu, although she didn't seem very enthusiastic, was happy and not foolish enough to do anything inappropriate on such an occasion. All night, nothing happened. The guests were all pleased. After I returned to the Mu family, I've always been free, in every sense of the word. Pei Shuero and Father Mu never demanded that I must do things a certain way. They only said, be at home however you feel comfortable. I slept in every day. After all, there's nothing to do if I wake up early. Besides, I stay up every night surfing the internet to get familiar with this world. So sleeping late is understandable. No one in the Mu family would say anything about me. But I forgot there are a few more people now, and they don't seem to like me much. This morning, as soon as I came downstairs, I got scolded. The elders are all up, but you're still sleeping till now. Grandma Mu saw me come downstairs, rolled her eyes, threw me a sidelong glance, and said with great dissatisfaction, look at our Xiao Xian. He got up early to help prepare breakfast. You should learn from Xiao Xian in this regard. At least show some filial piety to your elders. Pei Shuero was unhappy hearing that. Mom, there's nothing at home that needs help with. Let the kids sleep as long as they want. Besides, it's not even late yet. The fourth sister hasn't gotten up either. And filial piety isn't measured by how early you get up. Pei Shuero instinctively defended her son, but she didn't realize that by defending him, her words hurt Mu Xian's heart. Wasn't she implying that he deliberately woke up early to make breakfast to curry favor? I remained unruffled. I sat down leisurely, looking at Mu Xian. I said with a look of realization, I've been back for quite a while now, but it seems I've never had breakfast prepared by you. Did you make too little? And everyone already finished it, so none was left for me. I see you get up later than me every day, so you actually get up first to make breakfast, and then go back to sleep? Mu Xian's face turned red with shame. After I came back, he felt uncomfortable. Out of awkwardness, he tried to avoid me as much as possible, so he got up very late. Plus it was the holidays, so throughout the day, aside from coming down for meals, he basically stayed in his room. As for breakfast, there were servants in the house. He was the young master of the Mu family. How could he often cook? Since Grandma praises you so much, the breakfast you make must be delicious. I'd like to try some tomorrow, I said with a smile. I wasn't forcing Mu Xian to make breakfast, but the implication was clear. Grandma Mu was even more displeased. We have servants at home. Why are you ordering Xiao Xian around? I looked at her blankly. How is this ordering him around? He keeps saying he's my elder brother. What's wrong with an elder brother making breakfast for his younger brother? Besides, I'm doing this to show filial piety to Grandma. That's why I'm asking. Everyone at the table except Pei Shuero had an expression that said I was talking nonsense. My expression was very serious. Cooking skills are honed through practice. Without practice, how can you get good? If he wants to prepare breakfast for Grandma, but his cooking isn't good, what if something goes wrong? Grandma is so old now, her health can't take any trouble. Then I sighed, putting on a selfless look. I'm different. I'm young and have suffered a lot before. I'm used to it. It's perfect for him to practice on me. I'll be his guinea pig. Even Pei Shuero's rose-colored glasses shattered. Such shameless words. How could Chen say them with a straight face? Mu Xian was nearly driven to tears by my taunts. Lu Machi frowned deeply. You child, your temper is too strong. Your grandma only said one thing to you, and you talk back 10 times. Aren't you afraid of angering her? And as for Xiao Xian, a perfectly good matter, has been twisted by you. She looked at me with disapproval. I know you have resentment in your heart. You feel that Xiao Xian has enjoyed blessings all these years, that he took what was yours. But Xiao Xian was just a baby back then. What did he know? He's just as innocent as you. Why do you have to target him? Xiao Xian has a gentle nature. If he says he sees you as a brother, then he truly does. Isn't it good to have one more brother who cares for you? Why be like this? She shook her head, looking very disappointed. Pei Shuero was furious inside. She held back and didn't lash out, but her expression clearly darkened. Sister-in-law, you misunderstand. Chen isn't targeting anyone. He's just too straightforward. He doesn't know how to sugarcoat his words. He has no ill intentions. Yeah, what ill intentions could I have? I'm not targeting him. My attitude toward him is better than toward the fourth sister. If you don't believe me, ask him. I know he's innocent too, which is why I didn't ask mom and dad to kick him out. I let him stay in the Mu family as a young master. Isn't that enough? I'm almost moved by my own kindness. I've never seen anyone more magnanimous than me. My expression was innocent and guileless. I've gone this far, and Aunt still thinks I'm bullying him. Do you want me to give up my identity to him too? Give him my real parents as well? I deliberately stressed the words real parents. Lu Manchi was utterly choked. What else could she say? Maybe my expression was too sincere. So much so that Lu Manchi couldn't tell whether I was being deliberate or not. Grandma Mu was equally choked. She instinctively wanted to use her seniority to suppress me, but I didn't give her a chance to speak. You're also worried I'll bully Mu Xian. I heard from mom and dad that everyone dotes on him. How about this? From now on, let him live with grandma. After all, he's not a child anymore. He doesn't need constant care. Living with grandma, he can show more filial piety to her. Make breakfast for grandma every day. I tilted my head in a feigned cute manner. That way, he can be filial to grandma, and you won't have to worry about me bullying him. Kill two birds with one stone. The whole dining table fell silent. Grandma Mu and Lu Manchi stared at me. Pei Shuoro didn't know what expression to put on. As for Mu Xian, he was, of course, frightened. Chen, don't say any more. Grandma and Aunt didn't mean that. They're just too worried about me, but I haven't suffered any injustice. Mom, Dad, and my sisters treat me just as well. Of course, you haven't bullied me either. Don't take Grandma and Aunt's words to heart. If he moved in with Grandma, what would he be? Wouldn't his position be even more awkward? He is the Mu family's son. He will always be him. Pleading eyes. Looking at the two elders. The two of them truly doted on him. For his sake, they swallowed their anger. The atmosphere at the table finally returned to normal. It's just that everyone ate without much appetite. Of course, that didn't include me. I ate heartily. I even had an extra bowl more than usual. Thick millet porridge. With side dishes. So refreshing and appetizing. Seeing me like that, the two elders felt a fire burning in their hearts. On the third day, as soon as the eldest branch and old Madame Mu left, I urged Mu Xian to invite Jiang Yin over. Jiang Yin wanted to refuse. But thinking about the incident in the hallway, he made up his mind and came to the Mu family as promised. Pei Shuoro was very warm and asked Mu Xian to accompany him. As for me, I arrived late. The moment Jiang Yin saw me, feeling guilty, he immediately became nervous. He was still thinking about how to avoid the Mu family and have a proper talk with me. But I didn't play by the rules. I tilted my chin toward Mu Yue and Mu Xian. You two, please excuse us. I have something to discuss with Mr. Jiang. Mu Xian's face changed color. Jiang Yin was his friend, and now he was being told to leave. Mu Chen, what are you trying to do? If Jiang Yin has offended you in any way, just make it clear. You can't invite someone over and then bully them. I glanced at Mu Yue with disgust. If you have nothing to do, use your head. It's not just for decoration, and certainly not just to make you look taller. Of the four Mu sisters, the other three seem quite smart and have good judgment. How is this one so different? Mu Yue was furious. She opened her mouth to retort, but I raised my voice and called, Mom. Mu Yue shuddered, instinctively shutting her mouth. Pei Shuoro heard the call and quickly came out. Chen, what is it, Mom? I want to take Mu Xian's friend to the garden. Is that okay? Pei Shuoro didn't find it strange at all. Instead, she smiled and said, Go ahead. The sun is strong now. Don't get sunburned. Mu Xian quickly added, I'll come along too. He was really uneasy, feeling that I had a purpose in inviting Jiang Yan. I'm not one to care about saving face. I directly refused. No need. We'll be back soon. You stay and keep him company. I glanced at Mu Yue, speaking sarcastically. He's been staying home specially to accompany, to prevent others from bullying you. With that, I turned and walked away, not worrying whether Jiang Yin would follow. Mu Yue looked embarrassed, and felt even more that her own brother was very scheming. Look at what he just said. Wasn't he just tattling to Mom, implying that I suspect he'll bully little Xian? Is that why he stayed home? What a schemer. What do you want from me? Jiang Yin looked at me warily. Before I could respond, he quickly added, I don't know what you're up to. I didn't offend you in the hallway that day. Just because I glared at you? I cut him off. What's your relationship with the girl who fell? Did you have contact with her before the incident? Or, I slowly turned, tilting my head, my clear eyes seeming to see through everything. Is the incident actually related to you? I'm not. Jiang Yan's face drastically changed. He denied shrilly. In his eyes, an uncontrollable fear and panic leaked out. Am I talking nonsense? You know better than anyone. That was a covered-up accident. He lost his life because of it. What if I go and report it? Jiang Yan's words already revealed important information. I spread my hands. What evidence do I need? I just need to say it, and people will find the evidence. I wonder if Mr. Zhang's reputation would be affected by such news. Are you threatening me? Don't think that just because you're the young master, I'll be afraid of you. Compared to little Xian, what are you? Do you think you can replace little Xian? Dream on. Little Xian has lived in the Mu family for over 10 years. His bond with the family, you can't compare. I looked at him oddly. Why should I compare with Mu Xian? He is the adopted son. I am the biological son. A biological son replacing an adopted son? I'm not crazy. Also, let me correct you. I'm not threatening you. I'm reminding you. If you don't want others to know, don't do it yourself. That's a living human life. Do you think just because the case is closed, everything is fine? I said meaningfully, then turned and left. I asked just to save time, even if I didn't say anything. When that girl's resentment grows strong enough, My identity will also make her come find me. Jiang Yin didn't take my words to heart at all. Mu Xian wanted to ask me what I had said. That made Jiang Yin storm off angrily. Did you really bully him? But seeing my expression, he felt that if he asked, I would make him wish he could find a hole to crawl into. I was still wondering how long it would take for things to blow up. But unexpectedly, it happened faster than I thought. Seeing the uproar online, I found it only natural. I watch TV every day. I've learned a lot. Things move fast in this society. Once something spreads online, it's more effective than any publicity. I thought this was indeed the fastest way. Perhaps because they had encountered it at the mall. Pei Shuero also sighed when she saw the news. I originally thought it was a simple accident. I didn't expect something like this to come out. If what her parents say is true, then it's really tragic. That girl who fell was only 25. So young. I heard she was an only child. Gone just like that. No wonder her parents can't accept it. Insisting on making a big fuss. If it were her son, lost under unclear circumstances, she would also go crazy. Thinking this, Pei Shuero quickly spat in her heart. She had just found her Chen. There was still a long life ahead. Mother and son still had plenty of time together. The deceased's parents told the media that their daughter was gentle and quiet. She had few friends. Her family was of ordinary means. She didn't usually spend much. Unlike other kids her age who loved shopping, she rarely bought personal items. She gave her salary to them for household expenses. She didn't keep any for herself. Her routine was just work and home. But the fall happened at a high-end mall, a place she couldn't afford. That day before she left, she was acting strangely. At the time, they didn't think much of it. They never expected this. At first, they thought it was an accident. Only when sorting through her belongings did they discover the secret. Their daughter had suffered unfair treatment. So they suspect her death was not an accident. They want the truth and justice. Mu Xian's eyes darted nervously, afraid to look straight at the parents on TV. His hands, resting on his knees, intertwined and rubbed against each other. His face was unnaturally pale. I noticed his expression shift when he saw the news. A very strange look on his face. Thinking about his relationship with Jiang Yin, my heart stirred. I suddenly spoke. What are you so flustered about? Do you know the deceased? Or have you done something shameful? Mu Xian seemed startled, and abruptly lifted his head to stare at me, his voice sharp as he retorted. Chen, what nonsense are you talking? Even if you're dissatisfied with me, you can't just say things like that. Pei Shuero was stunned at first, then startled by the sharp voice. Xiao Xian, do you know that poor girl? Is she from a classmate's family? It wasn't impossible. Xiao Xian attended a private high school. Tuition was expensive. The school recruited outstanding students every year. Those types generally came from ordinary families, couldn't afford the fees, but had excellent grades. Maybe she's a relative of some classmate. Mu Xian's expression shifted again. If you have nothing to hide, why can't you say it? Both you and that Mr. Jiang are acting weird, evasive and guilty whenever this topic comes up. You're practically screaming, we're involved. The news is out. The matter has blown up. It's easy to investigate and find out. Better to come clean early and think of a solution. Pei Shuero hadn't believed it at first, but seeing Yang Zi's expression, her heart skipped a beat. Xiao Xian, I really didn't. Mu Xian panicked. What kind of person am I? Chen may not know, but do you, Mom, not know either? I'm the son you raised for over a decade. Seeing him put on that aggrieved look again, I almost rolled my eyes. Stop pretending. The lady doth protest too much. Even if you didn't do it, you're definitely involved. I wanted to see how long they could hold out. I got up and went upstairs. Mu Xian's face turned red and pale by turns, furious beyond words. Tears started falling. Mom, you saw it too. Ever since Chen came back, I've been giving in at every turn. I know I have no right to compete with him, and I shouldn't compete either. I wanted to get along with him, to honor you and Dad together. But he finds fault with everything I do. Whatever I do, he criticizes me. Today Jiang Yin left in a huff, and I don't even know what he did. Mom, tell me, what should I do? Or maybe I should just move out. I'm not an adult yet, but I think I can support myself. You've raised me for so many years. That's already a huge kindness. I can't ask for more. He seemed to want to vent all his fear, anxiety, grievances, and dissatisfaction. He covered his face and cried bitterly. Pei Shuero's heart ached for him. Both sides were dear to her. Chen was her biological son. Of course she loved him. But Xiao Xian had been with her for over a decade. Not by blood, yet just like her own. She wasn't deluded enough to hope they'd truly love each other, as long as they got along peacefully. Besides, Chen had said he didn't mind keeping Xiao Xian around. But Chen's mouth was indeed too direct. He didn't know how to be tactful. At home, family could tolerate it. But what about outside? Her thoughts started to wander. Mu Xian's sobs went unheard. No comfort came. He choked and looked up slightly, and felt even more wronged. Mom was actually spacing out at a time like this. This time, he was truly heartbroken. The moment I returned to my room, I sensed something off. I waved my hand, setting up a barrier. Come out. After a while, a blurry figure tremblingly floated out. My eyes swept over, and the figure immediately shrank into a corner. Already a ghost, still so timid. No wonder you were bullied by a few rich brats. I seriously doubted that someone this cowardly wouldn't be much better as a ghost. What could they do? Could they really trigger an opportunity? I expressed deep skepticism. How did you find your way here? If you don't speak, I'll throw you out. The figure was scared, and quickly said, I am Wen Yimo. A few days ago, I had an accident at the mall. Her voice dropped as she said this. It took many days to accept the fact. Unbelievable. Yet she had to accept. When I fell that day, I already guessed I wouldn't survive. Even if I didn't die, I'd probably be severely injured. My family couldn't afford the medical bills, so it was better to just go. For a moment, I didn't know whether to be relieved or resentful. So, what do you want? Revenge. Wen Yimo was stunned. Revenge? I can still get revenge. If not revenge, why come to me? If you didn't want revenge, you wouldn't be lingering in this world. I can't let go of my parents. Your parents, I'm sure you've seen. You're their only daughter. Now you're gone just like that. They won't let it go. They're in a till death do us part standoff. Wen Yimo was silent for a long time, then murmured, they can't fight those people. Listening closely, her voice was trembling. I seemed to understand a little. It wasn't that she didn't hate or want revenge, but she had been bullied for too long. The impact branded on her very soul. Even as a ghost, she was still afraid of people. It reflected how deeply she had experienced the oppression of power. Can you help me? I know you're different. You must be able to help me, right? She suddenly looked up, begging. She didn't know what kind of person this boy was. Why he could see her. Since he could see her and wasn't panicked at all, then he must be special. She felt some kind of pull, fate. So he must be able to help, right? I smiled slightly. How do you want me to help you? This question left her speechless. Yes, how? She didn't have an idea herself. How could she ask others? Didn't she hate? Of course she did. It wasn't an accidental fall at all. It was a covered-up altercation. When the accident happened, besides terror and despair, there was deep resentment. Why did they do this to him? He couldn't stand seeing rich brats bully someone. Stepped forward to stop them and yelled. Why did he end up dying so wrongfully? He worked at a milk tea shop. A few rich brats often came to drink. Later, they started causing trouble in the shop. He tried to stop them, but was insulted and threatened. When he got really angry, he deliberately said he'd record and expose them online if they kept it up. Only then did they back off and stopped bullying others. He thought it was just a minor incident in life. Never imagined he'd provoke demons. From then on, the retaliation began. At school, they deliberately isolated and ostracized him, colluded with others to spread rumors and slander, making life difficult. He wanted to quit his job, but they threatened the boss. They found his home address, alarmed his parents. They stuffed his desk with trash, deliberately destroyed his study materials. The list went on and on. He thought if he just endured until they got bored, it would be over. Never thought it would end in death. Afterwards, it was only deemed an accidental fall. The truth was concealed and ignored. Recalling this, resentment surged. The air in the room stirred. The curtains moved. The lampshade tassels swayed, rustling. I want them to taste this suffering. I want them to get there, just retribution. I rested my chin on my hand. Just retribution? Send them to prison? That's not hard. When Yimo's inner resentment was stirred, her timidity vanished, turning cold and dark. Her face twisted slightly. Prison? Their families won't let them go. Even if they did, it wouldn't be long. My one life for a few years in prison? Is my life so cheap? Unconvinced, then a life for a life. What do you think? I said it lightly, as if it were the simplest thing. When Yimo was taken aback, her boiling resentment paused. If it could be like that, of course, that would be best. But can you do it? She asked timidly. If it could be like that, of course, that would be best. Why should he be gone? While others live as if nothing happened. Is dying for nothing just accepted? Justice and the law may not compensate anything. I smiled slightly. Of course I can. When Yimo's eyes lit up with surprise. Can you really help me get revenge? If I help you get revenge, will you leave peacefully? She nodded, then paused, her face full of loneliness and sorrow. I can let go of my resentment, but I can't let go of my parents. They only have one child, me. I thought for a moment. Your parents aren't that old. Maybe they can have another child. Little did I expect. Upon hearing this, she thought of her parents' age. Indeed, it was possible. If that's the case, she can rest assured. Then when will you help me get revenge? What price must I pay? My eyes flickered. I smiled meaningfully. Don't worry. I won't help you for nothing. But it won't be something you can't bear. We'll discuss payment after it's done. I'm not an ordinary person. What I want naturally isn't ordinary. When Yimo didn't hesitate, she nodded. Then I'll wait. This requires the right timing. She nodded, then remembered something. Anxiously asked, can you protect my mom and dad? I'm from the Underworld, not a celestial deity. I handle matters of the dead, not the living. Seeing me silent, her eyes turned red. If you can't, then forget it. Seeing her pitiful state, I said, don't worry. Your parents should be fine. The matter has blown up big. If something happens now, it will be uncontrollable. Mom, I'm going out for a bit, I said to Peishuero. Peishuero was taken aback. Out? Where are you going? Let me have the driver take you. No need, I'll take the bus myself. Having the driver follow is inconvenient. But Chen, you haven't gone out alone since you came back. You're not familiar with Haishur. What if you get lost? I saw her worry. Mom, it's okay. I know the way. Besides, I can just give the address to the driver. It's not safe. That still won't do. There are a lot of bad people out there now. Tell you what, I'll have your fourth sister go with you. You do whatever you need to do. She can even run errands for you. Quickly had someone wake up lazy Muyue. Muyue heard her mother's words. She exploded. Mom, I'm his sister. His little errand girl? If you're worried about him, just have the driver follow him. Why do you want me to go with him? I won't do it, she yelled. She even glared at me. I glanced sideways at her. My expression was very disdainful. You think I'm happy to have you tag along? Mom's the one worried. She insisted you come. Mom, look at him. Muyue angrily pointed at me. Peishuero slapped her hand down. Whether you like it or not, you're going. You said it yourself. You're Chen's older sister, accompanying your little brother on an errand. You already have so many complaints. What do you intend to do? Peishuero's face darkened. She looked at her sternly. Muyue was intimidated by that look. Her arrogance immediately deflated. So it's settled. Hurry up and eat breakfast. Chen is about to go out. She went to get ready with tears in her eyes, feeling wronged. Where exactly are you going? In the car, Muyue asked with a dark face. Free labor available. Might as well make use of it. I ordered with a clear conscience. Drive forward, I'll give you directions. I treated her as A driver. Mu Yue was furious, but there was nothing she could do. She followed my directions, driving around. The places became more unfamiliar. The roads got narrower. She herself was confused. After living in Haishur for so many years, she never knew Haishur had such a place. Mu Yue obediently parked the car, parked outside a rundown neighborhood. Sitting in the driver's seat, looking outside, deep confusion rose in her heart. All right, you wait here for me. I got out of the car and slammed the door, threw out a sentence and left, not giving Mu Yue any chance to ask questions. She originally wanted to ask what I was doing, but my attitude was really infuriating. In a fit of anger, she simply stopped caring. I smoothly entered the neighborhood. Without stopping, I walked straight towards one of the buildings. The old neighborhood had poor greenery. The exterior walls were mottled and worn. There wasn't even an elevator. The stairs showed signs of decay. I walked all the way up, reached the 4th floor. I turned, went to the left. At the 4th floor, I vaguely heard crying. If I wasn't wrong, it came from the Wen family. Standing at the Wen family's door, I reached out and knocked. I need to find an assistant soon. I'm the great young lord of the City of Wrongful Death. How did I end up doing everything myself? This doesn't befit my status as the young lord. The sound inside paused. Then footsteps sounded. Soon, a voice from behind the door asked, "Who is it?" "I'm Wen Yimo's friend." It was quiet inside for a while. Then the door opened a crack. Someone peered at me through the crack. Seeing that I was young, they relaxed a bit. "Are you Xiao Mo's colleague?" I nodded. Only then did the person open the door to let me in. After entering, I didn't waste words. I know Wen Yimo was murdered. Wen Yimo's parents weren't old, but after their daughter's incident, they aged quickly. Originally still full of black hair, now it was interwoven with many silver strands. The wrinkles on their faces had also deepened. His eyes were filled with pain and sorrow and suppressed hatred. "How do you know? How do you know Xiao Mo was killed? Do you know something? Tell me." Wen's mother had been listless, but after hearing my words, she suddenly became agitated and grabbed my hand. "I can see Wen Yimo. I can also help you." Wen's father and mother were stunned, not understanding what I meant. Their daughter had already passed away. What did he mean by saying he could see her? Although they had insisted on not cremating her, to find out the truth, and kept her body in the morgue. This young man, he couldn't have gone to the morgue, right? The absurd thought crossed their minds. "I can see your daughter's soul. I can help you fulfill your wish," I said. Wen's mother stopped crying, looked at me through her tears, her expression frozen. Their wish, of course, was to find the murderer and make them pay. But that's not enough. A few years in prison is far from enough. A few years in prison cannot compare to their Xiao Mo's life. Whoever killed Xiao Mo must pay a heavy price. Wen's mother's eyes burned with intense hatred. "Whatever you want, I can help you achieve, but you need to pay a small price." I made myself very clear. Aside from karmic merit, I also need to collect the truest feelings, the purest goodness, the utmost benevolence and righteousness from the human world. The door of rebirth is the door to a new life. Life means beginning, means hope and joy. Death means ending, means despair and sorrow. And life and death are a cycle. Within the cycle lies selfishness and greed, hypocrisy and malice. I need to collect these, purify the resentment, and keep the resentment in balance. After hearing my words, Wen's mother didn't hesitate. "No matter what you want, as long as you can really help me, I'll give you anything, even if you want my life." I smiled. "It's not that serious." I told them everything I had learned from Wen Yimo, without holding anything back. No concealment. After hearing it, the couple broke down in tears again. I just sighed softly. Parting in life and death is truly the hardest thing to accept in this world. Wen's mother suddenly knelt down and banged her head on the floor. "I want them to pay. I want them to live in regret forever." Beyond the extreme resentment, Wen's mother and father were also filled with guilt and regret. Why didn't they notice their daughter's distress sooner? If only they had known earlier. They would have made her quit the job. They could have taken her somewhere else. Wen's father tried to hold it together, but tears still streamed down his face. He pressed his hand tightly against his face, unable to hide the pain and remorse. "Me too. I want them to pay the price they deserve." I called out to Father Wen. Then Mother Wen came out of the building, waiting for my news. Through the car window, I saw Mu Yue asleep, her mouth half open, clearly in a deep sleep. The corner of my mouth twitched. "And you call yourself my sister? I'd be embarrassed to have you as a little sister." I thought about tapping the window to wake her, but then hesitated. I was just worrying about how to get rid of Mu Yue. Having her around all the time was inconvenient. Since she was asleep, I might as well let her stay that way. So I changed direction. Mu Yue was still sound asleep in the car. Fulfilling Wen Yimo's parents' wish wasn't hard. With my abilities, I could certainly do it without anyone noticing, and teach those people a harsh lesson. But that wouldn't satisfy what they truly wanted. So first, I needed to expose the truth. Thinking about what Wen Yimo had gone through, even I couldn't help but sigh. If this matter doesn't end well, who would dare to do good deeds in the future? Times really are getting worse. Society is developing rapidly, but humanity hasn't improved with the economy. Instead, people have become more selfish. Perhaps a materialistic society has brought out the ugly side of human nature. I thought about my past. When I was as old as these kids, I was already a man who could stand on his own, ready to start a family and build a career, able to support the family name. My expression froze slightly, a trace of confusion crossing my face. My past, how long has it been since I thought about it? So long. I've already forgotten. I wasn't always the young lord. I vaguely remember before becoming the young lord, I was just an ordinary person in the mortal world. After death, I entered the City of Wrongful Death. It was so long ago, I've forgotten. How? I became the young lord of the City of Wrongful Death. The thought flashed through my mind, and my figure gradually disappeared. The passers-by on the street remained expressionless, all in a hurry. No one noticed that the young boy beside them had suddenly vanished into thin air. I thought I would finish quickly, but I didn't expect it to drag on until very late. While I was busy, I even forgot about Mu Yue. After finishing, I went straight back. As soon as I entered, I sensed something wrong in the living room. Before Jiang Ning could speak, Pei Shuoro hugged me. Her voice was full of worry. You're finally back? Mom was so scared. I thought something had happened to you. Father Mu also looked anxious and visibly relaxed when he saw me. He kept saying, glad you're back. Glad you're back. He was really scared. He thought his son had run away. I blinked, slowly realizing something. Just as I was about to explain, Mu Yue, who had been scolded all night, got impatient. She stormed at me angrily. Mu Chun, are you insane? Can't you say something when you go somewhere? Do you have any idea we thought something happened to you? Do you know we've been looking for you all day? I shrank back from her yelling, feeling a bit guilty. Shut up. Pei Shuoro hugged me, then glared at her fourth daughter. You must have made Xiao Chen unhappy. So he left without a word. You're always picking on Xiao Chun. How many times have I told you? Xiao Chun is your real brother. Real brother? Mu Yue was so angry at her mother's unreasonable words. She felt like she was about to explode. Mom, can you be reasonable? I didn't do anything today, Mu Yue shouted. Seeing they were about to start arguing, I quickly intervened. Mom, don't be angry. Let me explain. Today really isn't fourth sister's fault. She didn't do anything. We didn't even argue. Then why did you leave her behind? You haven't been here long. You're not familiar with this city yet. If no one's with you, you might get lost, and you're not very good with your phone either. The thing is, Chen isn't very good with phones either. She got lost. She doesn't even know how to use the navigation. Just answer me honestly. I went to handle some business. I told fourth sister to wait for me in the car. I said I'd be back after I finished. When I came back, she was asleep. I figured she must have gotten up too early and hadn't slept enough, so I wanted to let her sleep a bit longer. You'd be better off not explaining at all. She did that on purpose, didn't she? I didn't care about her fierce glare at all. I continued honestly. Then I left. I thought I'd finish quickly and come back. Maybe she wouldn't even be awake yet. But it took longer than I expected. And it dragged on until now. It's not like I really wanted Mu Yue to get scolded. I didn't expect things to turn out like this either. Then why haven't you been answering your phone? Mu Yue continued to interrogate. I reached into my cloth bag and fumbled around. I pulled out a phone, looked left and right, with a completely puzzled expression. I didn't hear the phone ring. This phone was bought for me by Pei Shuoro. She reminded me about it before I left today. But I really didn't hear anything. Mu Yue snatched the phone from me. She lit up the screen and instantly let out an angry laugh. She shoved the phone in front of my face. Can't you even see this? Your phone is set to silent. I glanced at the phone and blinked innocently. I really don't know how to check. I've never used a phone before. How was I supposed to know you could mute it? Mu Yue wanted to keep pressing. Pei Shuoro curled her fingers and knocked him hard on the head. It hurt so much he covered his forehead and cried out. If you hadn't fallen asleep in the car, would he have been considerate enough not to wake you? So when it comes down to it, it's all your fault. I asked you to help, but you slept like a log in the car. Your allowance for this month is cancelled. Pei Shuoro announced directly. What? Cancel my allowance? This month has only been 3 days. After speaking, Pei Shuoro looked at the other children and warned them. If anyone dares to secretly fund her, next month, that person's allowance gets cut. As for Mu Wanting, she glanced sideways at her eldest daughter. If you dare to give Yue money, I'll arrange a blind date for you immediately. Mu Wanting's expression changed. She quickly straightened up and answered, Mom, don't worry. I won't. I'll even keep an eye on the others to make sure they don't fund fourth sister. Big sister Mu Yue wailed. Mu Wanting looked at her with helpless pity. Fourth sister, don't blame big sister for being heartless. Better others die than me. Fourth sister, where did you go with little Chen today? Downstairs. Mu Xian didn't dare to defy Pei Shuoro. After they each returned to their rooms, she sneaked out again to find Mu Yue. After comforting her for a while, she asked as if curious, mentioning me. Mu Yue was furious. This blood brother of hers is basically her nemesis. He's here to collect a debt. But facing Mu Xian, she patiently explained it again. But where he went afterward, and what he did, she didn't know. Mu Xian heard this. His brow furrowed. Let alone Mu Yue. Even he didn't know what that place was. People like them only frequent upscale places. Of course, they wouldn't go to such shabby places. They wouldn't even know about it. He furrowed his brow and thought for a moment, but couldn't figure anything out. So he had to let it go. After returning to his room, for some reason, he couldn't shake this matter. Just then, Jiang Yan called, and they chatted for a bit. He remembered his friend coming over, and couldn't help but mutter a few words to his friend. Unexpectedly, Jiang Yan exclaimed in shock upon hearing it. Did he go to Wen Yimo's house? The name Wen Yimo hit him like a hammer. Mu Xian couldn't help but feel dazed. His hand holding the phone tightened. What is he doing at Wen Yimo's house? He doesn't know Wen Yimo. Jiang Yan gritted her teeth. Helpless, she had to recount what happened that day. Mu Xian listened and gasped. His limbs went weak. He didn't expect Jiang Yan to be there that day too. Yan, did you? Mu Xian felt his throat tighten. After asking this, his heart was in his throat. His mind began to race. If he really was involved in this, what should he do? Although he wasn't there that day, but now, those bullying incidents have been brought to his parents' attention. If they investigate deeply, but soon, he calmed down again. He kept comforting himself inwardly. He hadn't bullied Wen Yimo. At most, Mu Xian quickly recalled the things he had done. Had he left any obvious traces? Or any leverage for others to catch? Xian, are you listening to me? Jiang Yan had been talking for a while without hearing a response. She called out strangely. Mu Xian snapped back to reality. He steadied his emotions and said, I'm listening. Yan, what are you planning to do about this? Wen Yimo's parents don't seem to want to let this go. If they... Jiang Yan quickly interrupted him. It'll be fine. whether it's the school or our parents. Neither side wants this to blow up. At worst, they'll drag out a few people to apologize properly, apologize to them, and pay some compensation. That's it. Strictly speaking, those college students did it. We didn't do anything, not to mention their parents. The school also cares about its reputation. Mu Xian frowned deeply. He felt things weren't that simple. Jiang Yin wasn't worried about the mall's surveillance footage. She had it erased long ago. No one would find out. Her father was on good terms with the mall owner. Clearing the footage was just a phone call away. Even without that connection, she believed no one would dare offend them. Jiang family. Now I'm just worried about what Mu Chen knows. That day, I bumped into him in the hallway while I was flustered. The way he looked at me. And that day he invited me to your house. The things he said. He seemed to have made up his mind about something. This was the real reason Jiang Yin had been unsettled. Even facing Mu Xian, Jiang Yin didn't dare say much. When Jiang Yin said this, Mu Xian couldn't help but recall the day he saw the news. The things I said to him. His handsome face instantly turned pale. I might have really seen who did the bad things. Even if I didn't see clearly who it was, I must have at least seen them bullying someone. If he tells others about this, just thinking about the consequences. Mu Xian couldn't sit still. He forced himself. Calm down. Ian, Mu Chun probably really did see something. That day he even asked me if I was involved in Wen Yimo's incident. But he doesn't seem to have mentioned it to my parents. Hurry up and find a way to tell the others. Tell them to look out for themselves. Mu Xian's words made Jiang Yin even more panicked. She ended the call with him hastily, then immediately called her usual friends. Mu Xian clenched his teeth, thinking back to earlier events. He couldn't help but feel some regret. Wen Yimo helped that poor kid. Helping him once is fine, but you can only help for a moment. You can't help for a lifetime. Why do they have to keep going against him? At the time, he just felt that posture. That look was too glaring, as if he were a righteous hero, and they were demons. So he just said a few words to incite the classmates. Originally, he only wanted to teach him a lesson, so he wouldn't meddle in the future. But he truly never expected things to develop to this point. He thinks, and secretly blames those people. He asked them to get a little revenge, but they went too far. They even got addicted. Kept targeting Wen Yimo. Isn't it just picking on the weakest? Now see, they've squeezed the fruit to pulp. And Wen Yimo, if he hadn't said he recorded video and would expose them, he wouldn't have realized. Mu Xian starts thinking about me, thinking I might have seen what happened at the mall, but couldn't know the whole story. I can't even use a phone. What could I know? The idea is nice. Reality is cruel. On the third day, the internet is flooded with news. What makes him even more panicked and terrified is, the surveillance footage that had already been deleted was actually exposed all at once. Even the footage of past harassment and humiliation of Wen Yimo was dug up. He goes downstairs and sees me sitting on the sofa as expected, staring at the TV. And the news is about this very incident. Seeing the familiar scene, he almost couldn't catch his breath. His legs go weak. Mu Xian's heart is full of fear and unease. Pei Shuero walks over, sees him leaning on the handrail, pale-faced. His expression is off. She quickly asks, Xian? What's wrong? Why do you look so pale? Are you sick? Her voice startles me. I turn my head and look over, and meet Mu Xian's panicked gaze. Thinking of something, I smile meaningfully. Mom is asking you a question. Mu Xian's lips tremble. Mom, I'm fine. Pei Shuero gives him a strange look. After seeing the news I'm watching, she asks with concern, Xiao Chun, you seem very interested in this news. Why is that? I answer very bluntly. You and Dad plan to send me to this school, right? Then I definitely need to know more about people and things related to this school. Pei Shuero shudders. Only then does she suddenly think of a problem. Right, the students of this school did something like this. They dare to bully people outside school. Then what about the classmates inside? Xiao Chun is going to study at such a school. What if? Pei Shuero doesn't dare think further. She ignores that Father Mu just left. Immediately goes to make a phone call. No, you can't go to this school. And Xian, you have to transfer schools too. Studying in such a school, safety can't be guaranteed. What's the point of studying? I'll find you another school. Mu Xian is stunned. Why suddenly talking about changing schools? He never thought about changing schools. He's already familiar with this school. He has friends and social circles here. Suddenly change, and they're halfway through senior year. Changing schools at this time. Does he still want to take the college exam? Mu Xian wants to say something, but knows he probably can't persuade his mother. So he turns his gaze to me, hoping I'll say something to dissuade her. As for which school, I don't care where I study, so I don't even glance at him. Mu Xian can only watch helplessly as his mother makes the call. After the footage of Wen Yimo's incident was exposed, all parties handle it quickly. The school immediately apologizes, promises to strengthen moral education. The milk tea shop owner also cries bitterly. Most of the involved students come forward to apologize, facing the camera, tears and snot streaming, looking full of remorse. Wen Yimo is in my room, gritting his teeth watching the people apologizing on video. They're not sincere at all. They don't think they did anything wrong. I nod slightly. Yeah, most people aren't sincerely admitting fault, let alone remorse. If this hadn't been exposed, and netizens hadn't reacted strongly, demanding explanations and condemnation, the public uproar is too great. They and their parents wouldn't apologize, and wouldn't take it to heart. Regret for an ordinary person who is already dead. Dead is dead. What else is there to talk about? Others can't see, but I can see. When they say this, on the surface, they seem remorseful and sincere. But in their eyes, there's indifference, even anger and resentment. Of course, resentment towards those who forced them. How embarrassing this is for them. To them, Wen Yimo's life is not as important as face. Wen Yimo was full of grief and anger while alive, and deep confusion. He truly didn't understand. What exactly did he do wrong? He was kind and righteous. Was that wrong? He was just trying to help, but instead was ostracized by them for no reason. Those people used their family background to pressure and destroyed his peaceful life. That day, a dispute in the mall. He accidentally fell from the upper floor. With a bang, everything ended. Now they say they know they were wrong, begging everyone to give them a chance. But who will give him a chance? They didn't give him a chance back then. The more he thinks, the more Wen Yimo's suppressed resentment threatens to spiral out of control. The room temperature instantly drops significantly. Chilly winds blow, making things sway. I look up at the swaying chandelier and quickly speak to calm her down. I'll let you vent your anger in person. As if pressing a pause button, the commotion in the room stops immediately. Let me vent in person? No, I can't get close to them. Wen Yimo frowns. He of course wants to take revenge himself, but for some reason, he can't get close. He can only watch from afar. Once he gets too close, he's blocked. Otherwise, he would have torn them apart. You can't. Doesn't mean I can't. They have guilty consciences. It's not strange for ghosts to knock at midnight. I say calmly. Probably really are guilty. After Wen Yimo died, a few were indeed scared, so they put on amulets, especially the one who caused his fall. Though they quickly dismissed it, they still felt some guilt. They were blessed jade pendants. Wen Yimo was gentle in life, couldn't become a vengeful spirit immediately after death, so he can't get close to those people. Not surprising. Telling me this is useless. Wen Yimo immediately perks up. If it's possible, of course that's best. But remember one thing. You can't directly harm people. Sometimes death is not revenge, but a release. If you take a life, you won't be able to reincarnate smoothly. I warned very seriously. Wen Yimo was a kind person, liked to help others when alive, but unfortunately met with an accident. If nothing unexpected happens, he will have a good next life. But if he commits murder, then the situation would be completely different. There's no need for these evil people to ruin your own happy next life. Wen Yimo bit his lip, somewhat unwilling. After a while, he nodded. Okay, I won't take their lives. I want them to live in the shadows. I clap out a glowing talisman, slowly falling onto Wen Yimo. Soon it disappears. Wen Yimo hasn't reacted yet. Feels like something was injected into his soul, as if instantly filled with power. Go. Haste makes waste. Take it slow. If you encounter something you can't resolve, call me. I'll come save you. Wen Yimo looks at me, touched. Suddenly tears well up. There are many bad people in this world who pressure him for no reason because he looks easy to bully. But there are also many good people, like those who spoke up for him online, just like me, not related by blood or acquaintance, yet willing to help him with all their might. Since I said he could vent, Wen Yimo doesn't want to stay a moment longer. He quickly disappears from my room. From his fall to the exposure of the incident, it was only a few short days. At first, that person was indeed quite flustered. After all, it caused a death, but that panic quickly faded, turned into indifference. People born into power and wealth, the environment they grew up in, the education they received, easily gives them a mistaken belief that they are superior. Ordinary people are naturally inferior. There's nothing money can't solve, and what money can't solve, power can. Jiang Yin wasn't the one who caused the fall, but that day at the mall, he also took part in the bullying of Wen Yimo. Jiang Yin has indeed had a rough few days. He only learned the news from Mu Xian before he could even do anything. It got out of control. Only then did he tell his parents. Naturally, he got a severe scolding, but his heart settled again, because his parents, though they scolded him, would definitely not abandon him. With the influence of his Jiang family, wanting to extract him from this matter is a piece of cake. So Jiang Yin isn't worried now, even thinking, at worst, he'll transfer schools. There are still many good schools in Haishur. Not afraid of having no school to attend. He sits on the bed, leaning against the headboard, engrossed in the variety show on his phone. From time to time, he laughs heartily, not showing any sign of being affected by the incident. When Yimo floats into his room, what he sees is exactly this scene. The fury in his heart rushes straight to his crown. See? These people have no remorse at all. They will never reform themselves. People whose backgrounds are inferior to theirs, in their eyes, are worse than cats and dogs. When Yimo's anger and resentment are overwhelming, the crystal chandelier in Jiang Yan's room immediately begins to sway and flickers a few times, emitting a few crackling sounds, as if something's wrong with the chandelier. Jiang Yan is startled by the suddenness. He looks up at the chandelier on the ceiling, can't help muttering, "What's going on? Is the light broken?" He stares for a while. The chandelier returns to normal, so he ignores it. But as soon as he puts his attention back on his phone, the room lights start flickering again, faintly hearing the crackling of electricity. He still doesn't think much of it, purses his lips, gets off the bed, and tests the light switch. This test gives him a cold sweat. The switch is completely unresponsive. He didn't turn it off, but it turned itself off. The light he didn't turn on, yet it turned itself on, and he clearly had the window closed. Yet the room feels like a wind is blowing in. He also feels a chill. Somehow he suddenly thinks of Wen Yimo, and his face changes instantly. Reflexively, he turns to open the door and get out. But no matter how hard he tries, the door, which was fine before, refuses to open. Open up. Open up. Someone come. Someone save me. Someone come. Jiang Yin can't suppress his inner fear and starts screaming loudly. His scream is so eerie, and it's late at night, that the others in the Jiang villa have their hearts racing. They rush anxiously to his room. Father Jiang is outside, banging on the door. Jiang Yin, what's wrong? Open the door. What are you doing in there? I can't open it. There's a ghost. Come quickly and save me. Jiang Yin, voice trembling, cries out, continuously pounding on the door. The fear in his voice passes through the door, clearly reaching the ears of those outside. Nonsense. Calm down. What ghost? There are no ghosts in this world. Don't scare yourself. Is the lock jammed? Come down and check. Dad, I'll have someone get the keys. Father Jiang says, exchanging a glance with Mother Jiang. They can't help but think of recent events. Father Jiang's expression is grim. He is both angry at and worried for his son. It's probably his own guilty conscience. So he's scaring himself. Fortunately, the Jiang family lives in a standalone villa, and the neighbors aren't close by. Otherwise, with his screaming, the entire villa area would have heard. The servants quickly bring the keys. But no matter how they turn the key, it won't open. Inside the room, Jiang Yin keeps screaming, accompanied by bursts of crackling sounds, like the sound of light fixtures shattering. With a final loud crash, the door that wouldn't open swings open. The family quickly pushes the door open and goes in. The scene before them is a mess. In the originally lavishly decorated room, decorations are strewn about. The lampshade of the bedside lamp hangs crooked. The hanging curtains are in disarray. The crystal chandelier on the ceiling has fallen, fragments scattered everywhere. The carpet is also lifted at one corner. The family is utterly dumbfounded. Looking more closely, Jiang Yan is lying behind the door, passed out. Cold sweat continues to bead on his forehead. Everyone quickly picks him up, then hurriedly call a doctor. After diagnosing, the doctor finds it strange. Young Master Jiang seems to have suffered a great shock. Did he experience something terrifying? The Jiang family's faces all look off. Father Jiang forces a smile. To be honest, we're not really sure. The boy was in his own room. We thought he was asleep. Who knew? We heard his scream and went to check. Found him already unconscious. What could they say? Say their son had a guilty conscience? Scared himself? Say he saw a ghost? He doesn't care about face. But the Jiang family still does. The doctor doesn't think much of it. He's fine physically, but the wound on his forehead is quite serious. I'm afraid it will leave a scar. Upon hearing this, the Jiang family, their expressions change instantly. After the doctor leaves, Jiang Yin soon wakes up, but he's clearly severely frightened. Not yet fully awake, he falls into a terrible nightmare. Don't go away. It wasn't me. I didn't harm you. It wasn't me who pushed you off the building. Go away. Don't come to me. His eyes are still tightly closed, but his hands kept flailing and struggling. His face was full of fear and extreme terror. After Jiang's mother heard clearly, her expression changed. Jiang Yan, wake up. It's okay. You had a nightmare. Wake up. He panicked and reached out to pat his son's face, but there was no reaction at all. Finally, he steeled himself and slapped him. Only then did he finally manage to wake him. Jiang Yan opened his eyes, saw his mother, and burst into loud sobs. He immediately threw himself into Jiang's mother's arms, clutching tightly at her clothes, his whole body trembling. Mom, there's a ghost. I saw it. It's Wen Yimo. He came back to settle accounts with me. He said I harmed him. He wants me to pay with my life. I said I didn't. He didn't believe me. He tried to strangle me. He had never known that ghosts really existed in this world. He clearly saw what happened in the room, and it couldn't be explained by common sense. And he really saw it. Wearing that same outfit from that day, it really was Wen Yimo's ghost. Jiang Yan, you're delusional. How could there be ghosts in this world? You're scaring yourself. Don't overthink it. You don't need to worry about that matter. Nothing will happen. Our family can handle it. No one can hurt you. You behave yourself and stop overthinking. In a few days, this will all blow over. Jiang's mother's expression was very grim. She was also a bit creeped out by what he said, but she still held him steady and comforted him, probably feeling safe in his mother's arms. His emotions gradually calmed down. To thoroughly convince him, Jiang's mother half persuaded, half forced him to check the room. The servants had already tidied up, so it wasn't as messy as before. See, it was just the chandelier that wasn't installed properly and fell down. And as for what you said, you just didn't close the window properly, leaving a gap. Didn't you notice how windy it was today? Of course, wind blowing in can move things around. And you call yourself a student? Jiang's mother said to him in a deep voice, reaching out and tapping his forehead. Jiang's mother's face showed no signs of deception, her expression the most natural in the world. So much so that Jiang Yan began to waver, wondering if he was overthinking it, becoming like a startled bird, scaring himself. Stop scaring yourself. Tonight, you can sleep in the guest room first. Tomorrow, I'll have someone clean it up. We won't install the crystal chandelier anymore. It's too dangerous. Jiang Yan hesitated as he was led to the guest room. Jiang Yan, what nonsense are you talking? Did you watch a horror movie? That gave you a psychological suggestion, making you think there's a ghost? Mu Xian didn't expect his friend to call him over, just to say something so absurd. He saw Wen Yimo's ghost? How is that possible? In just one short night, Jiang Yan had become listless, and also turned a little paranoid. He nervously glanced around, and lowered his voice tensely. No, it's not. Xiao Xian, it's true. Everything I said is true. Last night, I really saw his ghost. He was in my room, and he made a mess of everything. He said I harmed him, and he wanted to settle the score with me. Then I fell asleep, and suddenly the blanket was floating in midair. I saw it with my own eyes. Jiang Yan's eyes were terrified and restless, talking about last night's events. His scalp tightened. Last night, his mother had convinced him. After staying in the guest room for a long time without any movement, he went to sleep feeling reassured. But who knew that while sleeping, he felt cold, even though he was covered with a thick down comforter, and the temperature in Haisher wasn't low either. Later, he couldn't stand it anymore. Woke up from the cold, and when he opened his eyes, the blanket covering him was actually floating in midair. He instinctively let out a scream. But this time, no one came. It was as if the sound was blocked by something. No matter how much he shouted, no one came. He was so scared that he shrank under the bed. But it was completely useless. Then Wen Yimo's voice echoed in the room, as if it came from hell itself. He didn't even know how he got through it. Jiang Yan had dark circles under his eyes, his gaze unsteady with fear, extremely tense. Any strange noise could scare him off. Mu Xian frowned deeply. He felt that what his friend said was impossible. But seeing his state, it didn't seem like he was lying. For a moment, Mu Xian couldn't make up his mind. Just as he hesitated, Jiang Yin stared at him with eerie eyes and spoke in a low, hollow voice. Xiao Xian, when Yimo came for me, he won't let me off. Then he won't let you off either. Mu Xian's heart suddenly jumped. He lowered his voice and retorted, Jiang Yan, have you lost your mind? There are no ghosts in this world. Snap out of it. Besides, his accident has nothing to do with you, and even less to do with me. Jiang Yan heard this, and his expression turned dazed for a moment. He muttered to himself, yeah, I didn't cause him to fall off the building. So why did he come for me? That day, he only came up with an idea. He didn't force him to do it. If anyone's to blame, it's his own carelessness. He's dead anyway, so why come scare him? As he thought about it, his fear turned into anger, growing bold. His paranoid eyes turned fierce, with a hint of ruthless determination. Fine, you turn into a ghost to scare me, huh? Then I'll go find someone to exorcise you, make you vanish into thin air, so you can't even be a ghost. Once he had an idea in mind, Jiang Yin couldn't sit still for a second. He threw out a sentence and hurriedly left. But Jiang Yan's thinking was too optimistic. The Zhang family simply didn't believe her. They thought she had serious psychological issues. Zhang's mother could only keep persuading and comforting her, but never mentioned hiring someone to perform rituals. Though high society valued feng shui and would invite masters to help with layout, that was only to attract wealth and enhance luck. Ghosts and such were pure nonsense. Just as Jiang Yin grew more anxious, another terrible thing happened, completely shattering Jiang Yan's sanity. Even Dai Mu Xuan was scared into falling ill. The classmate who had led the bullying that day suddenly fell seriously ill and was rushed to the emergency room that very night. Though she was revived, her spirit was completely broken. All day, she curled up on the hospital bed, neurotically repeating 3 words, I was wrong. Her parents wept bitterly, insisting that someone had killed their daughter, and claiming it was Wen Yimo's parents. But investigation showed that was completely impossible. Wen's father and mother lived far from their house, a straight drive of an hour. Moreover, they had alibis. They had never come to this area, and there were no signs of an outsider entering the house. The alarm system was intact. Wen Yimo was just an ordinary worker, yet died unexpectedly, causing huge repercussions. It was enough to become one of the hottest topics. Touching on the city's wealth gap issue, the topic became even more heated. The parents of the involved rich kids tried to spend money, but every time they spent, the trending topic would immediately bounce back, ranking even higher. Their information was also exposed. That scared them so much they had to give up and lie low. So even though a few days had passed, people online were still discussing it. Now that the involved classmate had died, the news spread immediately, compared to the sympathy and regret for Wen Yimo. Then he had no good intentions toward that classmate. After all, people's eyes are sharp. This is entirely deserved. He indirectly harmed her. Now a life for a life. Why should an apology let him carry on? So young, yet so cold-blooded. Wen Yimo's spirit can rest in peace. Wen Yimo couldn't stop crying. I sat quietly beside her, watching her cry. I didn't persuade or comfort her. All right, now your wish is fulfilled. It's time to move on. The one who caused your fall was scared to death. Wen Yimo didn't actually lay a hand on him. He was scared to death because he had a guilty conscience. An upright person naturally wouldn't be afraid. A guilty conscience sees ghosts in everything. It's not good for Wen Yimo to linger in the human world too long. He slowly stopped crying, lifted his face, and looked at me quietly. With a pleading look, he asked softly, could I see my parents? I looked at him and firmly refused. No need. Your parents have already gotten through it. If you go see them now, it would be like reopening the wound and making them bleed again. Wen Yimo was stunned. He lowered his eyes and understood. That made sense. But I can let you appear in their dreams. You can say goodbye to your parents in a dream. Wen Yimo was happy and extremely grateful. Thank you, I said bluntly. We're just helping each other. Wen Yimo knew I helped him for revenge. Like I said, each gets what they need. I helped him punish the wrongdoer, resolve the immense resentment in his heart. His parents wouldn't have to face the powerful alone, risking retaliation at any moment. He could leave in peace. Mr. and Mrs. Wen slept deeply that night. It was the first time since their daughter's incident that they slept so soundly. In the dream, they saw their daughter, still the same well-behaved appearance as when she was alive. With a bright smile, she told them she had to go, told them to take good care of themselves. Finally, she said a wise person helped her get justice. The couple somehow thought of the boy who claimed to be their daughter's friend. They eagerly asked their daughter, but she said nothing. She just smiled, reluctantly said goodbye, then disappeared into the dream. In their sleep, tears slid from the corners of their eyes. They knew their daughter was truly gone this time. Maybe there really is a beautiful afterlife. Their daughter will surely have a good next life. She will grow up safely, making up for all the regrets of this life. Although their daughter didn't admit it directly, they felt that the wise person she mentioned was the boy who came to their house that day. So he was definitely not an ordinary person. When the couple woke up, they wondered how to thank me. But I appeared in their home again. When they saw me, they immediately started to kneel, thanking me for helping their daughter fulfill her wish. I reached out to stop them. Do you remember what I said? I expect payment for helping you. Now is the time I collect that payment. Are you willing to give it? Yes, we are willing. As long as we have it, we're willing to give it, the couple said with utmost sincerity. I saw kindness in their eyes. I smiled slightly, nodded. Now close your eyes. Silently recite the greatest reward you can give me. The couple exchanged a glance. Without any further questions or hesitation, they slowly closed their eyes, their hearts filled with utmost devotion. Soon, I watched as from atop their heads, a pure golden light slowly rose. A satisfied smile appeared on my face. This was the merit they had accumulated. The purer the light, the truer the gratitude. What they were willing to give was surely the greatest. This was also the final payment I wanted. I took out an exquisite fortune pouch. With a gentle wave of my small hand, 2 streaks of golden light flew into the pouch in my hand. After tying it, I said in a light tone, "Done. I have received the payment you gave. You are both kind, good people, because you have kind hearts, doing good deeds and accumulating merit." That's why when Yimo encountered me, the couple was momentarily stunned. Mrs. Wen couldn't help blurting out, "If that's the case, then why is our daughter still?" I looked at her quietly. Wen Yimo was destined to have this tribulation, although she died young in this life. Because of your good deeds and merit, she will not only be smoothly reincarnated, but the family she is born into will be better. She will grow up safely, just as you wish. Get married, have children, and then pass away happily at a ripe old age. Is that true? Mrs. Wen's eyes lit up slightly. Of course. I never lie. That's good. That's good. Mrs. Wen couldn't help sobbing. Before leaving, I originally wanted to say something, but the words died on my lips. Felt it was unnecessary. Mr. and Mrs. Wen have long done good deeds and accumulated merit. They lost a beloved child, but in the end, they will gain another child. When Yimo is gone, it's painful, but it also signifies a new beginning. I returned home, just in time to see Dr. Song. Seeing the doctor, I raised an eyebrow. Mu Xian is sick. He's bedridden. Several doctors have been called, but no improvement. The Mu family is frantic. Of course, that certainly doesn't include me. Pei Shuero was frowning deeply. She came downstairs and saw me. Her brow relaxed. "Chen, you're back. Did you finish what you needed to do? Remember to tell Mom if anything happens. Don't keep it all to yourself." "Mom, I've taken care of my matters. It went smoothly." "That's good." Pei Shuero nodded gently. Her eyes were tinged with deep worry. Now that Xiao Xian is sick, Xiao Chun can't have anything happen to him. I don't know what's wrong with Xiao Xian. He was fine, then suddenly got sick. Went to the hospital, tests showed nothing. Several doctors, taken medicine, had injections, but no sign of recovery. It's driving me crazy with worry. "Mom, what did the doctors say?" Seeing me take the initiative to ask about Mu Xian, Pei Shuero seemed a bit pleased. She thought I was cold on the outside, but warm inside, caring about my little brother like always. They said he's depressed, pent-up emotions. But how is that possible? What could a child like Xiao Xian have to be depressed about, to the point of being bedridden? I think these doctors are all incompetent. If Xiao Xian had just found out about his background, then maybe, that I would believe. But it's been over a month. He was clearly fine before, suddenly fell ill. Clearly not the reason. But when we ask Xiao Xian, he can't explain. I smiled meaningfully. Maybe the doctor isn't wrong. He might have some heart issue. Perhaps, isn't there a saying, a troubled heart needs medicine? Pei Shuero was taken aback. A troubled heart? But where would Xiao Xian get that? I smiled innocently. Then you'll have to ask him what he's done. Pei Shuero looked at her son suspiciously. "Xiao Chen, do you know something?" I didn't really feel like bothering with Mu Xian. It has nothing to do with me how he is. But collapsing at home like this, it's thrown the whole house into chaos. Mom and Dad are worried sick too. Look at my mom's eyes. They were so well cared for. Now she's getting frown lines from worrying. I paused, then spoke softly. "Mom, have you seen the news online? I mean that incident at the mall." Of course Pei Shuero remembered that. She'd been keeping an eye on developments too. After all, it had blown up quite badly. But wasn't the matter already resolved? That girl accidentally fell. The mall security footage was released after the culprit scared himself to death. Public opinion was in an uproar. He also knew that child's parents. The relationship was just SOSO. He never expected it to get this bad. Now even the company is affected. I heard they're already planning to move away. After learning the details, he felt a deep sense of regret. But what does this have to do with Xiao Xian? I said casually. Zhang Yan is in a worse state than Mu Xian right now. Keeps screaming about seeing the ghost of that female employee. That day at the mall, Zhang Yan was there too. He was just lucky. Hid in the back, barely caught on camera. So when that classmate died, he himself got scared half to death. Pei Shuero's heart jolted violently. Once she understood the implication, she widened her eyes in shock, her face full of disbelief. I didn't directly say Mu Xian was involved, but Pei Shuero could judge for herself. Zhang Yan and Mu Xian are best friends. They're in the same school, same class. If Zhang Yan did something so vile, could Mu Xian really have known nothing about it? How is that possible? Pei Shuero clearly understood this too, so her expression instantly turned grim. I had said just enough to hint, and didn't push further. When Father Mu came home from work that evening, Pei Shuero told him about it. After listening, he too was taken aback. After all, in his long-held impression, Xiao Xian had always been well-behaved and sensible. How could he do something like this? But thinking about his unusual behavior these past few days, Father Mu's heart sank again. The two of them went to Mu Xian's room. Seeing them walk in, Mu Xian struggled to sit up in bed. "Mom, Dad, why are you here? Is something wrong?" Mu Xian looked terrible. His energy was low. His complexion an unnatural pallor. Eyes bloodshot. Gaze weary. Barely holding himself together. He didn't look like someone sick for just a few days, but rather someone who had been ill for a long time. Father Mu sat down. His expression extremely stern. His gaze sharp on him. "Xiao Xian, we have something to ask you. You must answer honestly." Mu Xian's heart skipped a beat. He instinctively glanced at Pei Shuero, and saw that her expression was just as serious. A flicker of confusion and panic. But he still nodded lightly. "All right, tell me, did you take part in that incident?" He asked directly, catching Mu Xian completely off guard. And because of that suddenness, Mu Xian's expression had no time to hide, and they both saw it clearly. The look on his face said it all. Deep disappointment crept into their eyes. The son who was so well-behaved and kind in front of them turned out to have this side to him in private. They felt so let down. They didn't remember ever teaching him such things. Pei Shuero was especially disappointed and pained. She believed she had never been lax in his upbringing, always asking about all aspects of his life, using every opportunity to educate him, instilling proper values and morals. She hadn't just dumped everything on tutors like many wealthy families do. So why did Xiaoxian do this? Why did he go and bully a classmate? And even when the grown-ups found out, he didn't think he was wrong, leading to the accident in the end. Mu Xian met their disappointed gazes and knew that the truth could no longer be hidden. All the pressure he'd been carrying these days, the fear, the terror, the anxiety, erupted in a flood. He burst into loud sobs, soon crying so hard he could barely breathe. Between sobs, he tried to defend himself. Mom, Dad, I let you down. I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I didn't think it would turn out like this. I never did anything to miss one. I didn't know it would happen. You say you didn't know? Father Mu was too furious to even speak properly. Whether something bad should be done or not. Does he think he's an ignorant 3-year-old? He's 17. He's had over a decade of school education. Doesn't he have even basic moral sense? Why did you do it? You're so well-behaved and sensible in front of us. Was it all an act? Why did you bully someone? Mu Xian bit his lip, his eyes flickering with hesitation, afraid to speak his mind. He knew that jealousy was wrong, but he just couldn't control it. Since childhood, he had always been outstanding, the brightest star in the crowd, the moon surrounded by stars. But that classmate stole his spotlight, taking away his #1 seat. Will you not speak the truth? Pei Shuero was livid and snapped. Mu Xian trembled uncontrollably, his pale lips quivering. Somewhat ashamed, he revealed the reason, his voice growing quieter as he spoke. Pei Shuero wished she could just faint. Listen to this. Just because someone else was better than him, he got jealous, so he incited his friend to bully them. When caught, he didn't correct his mistake, and even used his family background to threaten. He was jealous of someone's grades. Why not work harder to surpass them? Instead, he tried to harm people through crooked means. Father Mu was shocked and incredulous. Looking at Mu Xian, he felt like this son was a stranger. Had he not understood his son enough? Or had he never understood him at all? He couldn't help but deeply doubt himself. The look in Pei Shuero's eyes scared Mu Xian. He threw himself into her arms, clinging tightly to her waist, sobbing loudly. Mom, I'm sorry, I really didn't mean to. I never thought it would come to this. At first, I just wanted to embarrass him. I didn't want to hurt anyone. Really, later on, the things they did, I really didn't take part. That day at the mall, I didn't know either. Zhang Yi never told me. He only told me after it blew up. That's when I found out. If I had been there, I would have stopped it for sure. I didn't want to hurt anyone. Dad, I really know I was wrong. I never expected it to turn out like this. I won't dare do it again. I won't be jealous of others anymore. I'll work hard to improve myself. Mom, Dad, please believe me. Mu Xian's tone was urgent, pleading. He wasn't of Mu family blood. He was just an adopted son now. He couldn't let Mom and Dad completely lose hope in him. If they were disappointed in him, would they abandon him and then cruelly send him away? Where else could he go? Mu Xian had been terrified all along. The classmates involved had encountered strange things. The one who caused the fall, scared to death, had his nerves stretched to the limit. His mental endurance had also maxed out. Now that Father Mu and his wife knew, the thought of being sent away kept flashing in his mind. Regret, fear, terror, unease, despair, all rushed into his heart at once. On top of that, he hadn't rested well in days. I haven't rested well for many days again. So in his anxiety, he couldn't catch his breath and fainted. The Mu family fell into another uproar. Everyone went to Mu Xian's room, but I didn't show up. Mu Yue was furious, muttering complaints, which Pei Shuero overheard. He was already angry about the situation, and hearing his second daughter target Mu Xian against her eldest son, his temper flared immediately. He scolded harshly. Why do you keep picking on Chen all day? He's your own little brother, not your enemy. And is Chen a doctor? What difference does it make if he comes or not? Pei Shuero was actually a lenient mother. Usually she acted like she was about to discipline them, but it was just a bluff, rarely scolding them like this. So Mu Yue was stunned by the reprimand. Mu Wanting and the twins had just returned, and they exchanged bewildered glances, sharing the same confusion. Had something happened at home that they didn't know about? The Mu sisters sensed the strange atmosphere. At first they only suspected something was wrong, but now they were basically certain. The only one unaffected was still me. I just went about my business as usual, immersed in watching TV shows all day. They had originally planned to hire a tutor for me, but that was put on hold now. Others had heavy homework to do, but every day, apart from watching TV, only eating could make me leave the sofa. Chen, you've been home all day. Is something going on in the family? I'm busy at work in the company, and sometimes overlook things at home. If something happened, remember to tell your big sister. Mu Wanting rarely had a day off at home, but she still spent half the day in the study, then came downstairs and saw me watching TV. She paused, walked over, and sat down beside me. I didn't even shift my gaze. Nothing's wrong at home. It's fine. Really? Nothing at all. Mom and Dad seemed troubled for days. Is it because of your schooling? I wouldn't say it, so he had to probe himself. It had been over a month since I returned to the Mu family, but Mu Wanting still found her little brother a stranger. Hearing this, I deigned to throw her a glance. Though the look in my eyes was far from normal. Why assume it's because of my affairs? You've decided that if something's wrong at home, it's my fault? That's not what I meant. I know you're very well behaved. No, I'm not well behaved. Mu Wanting felt mentally exhausted. If you want to know, go ask Mom and Dad. I don't want people to say I'm stirring up trouble or driving a wedge between you all. I turned my attention back to the TV. Mu Wanting raised an eyebrow. Why did those words sound so odd? Could it be that Xiaoxian was thinking, remembering the night before last? Mu Wanting couldn't help frowning. Before she could find a chance to ask, New Year arrived. The atmosphere at the Mu house finally eased. Mu Xian recovered after being sick for a few days, but he had become much more silent. This was the first New Year I'd spent since returning to the Mu family. Father Mu and Pei Shuero took it very seriously. They started preparations early. The careful decorations at home and the New Year's Eve dinner menu were all thoughtfully arranged. Everything revolved around me. As for the others in the family, they'd had so many New Years already. What's wrong with letting Xiao Chen have this one? Wasn't it only natural? On New Year's Eve, the house was lively, as if the previous gloom had never existed. Father Mu and Pei Shuero's attitude toward Mu Xian hadn't changed at all. The two had talked about it once after that day, and never brought it up again. This was my first New Year in the human world, and everything felt new and amazing. I became very happy. Not only did I smile more often, but I seemed to have a much better temper too. I didn't even snap at Mu Yue, which made Pei Shuero and Father Mu delighted. After the New Year, the family prepared to return to the capital. The Mu family's roots were in the capital. Old Lady Mu also lived in the capital at the Mu residence. As elders, sons should bring their children to pay New Year visits. Otherwise, it would invite criticism. Usually, each family spent New Year's Eve separately. Unless something special came up, they would gather in the capital for a reunion dinner. And since I had just returned, it was time to take me to the capital to meet everyone. Besides the three siblings, the Mu family had other collateral relatives, with whom they still kept in touch. On the second day of the New Year, the family packed up and left. They took their private jet back to the capital. It was my first time on a plane, and I was curious. On board, I pressed myself against the window, staring fixedly outside. Pei Shuero found it amusing. Mu Yue saw this, opened her mouth to tease me, but Pei Shuero shot her a glare, and she immediately shut up wisely. When they arrived in the capital, the Mu family had arranged for someone to pick them up. They got in the car and headed straight to the old residence. Before leaving, Pei Shuero had explained to me the complicated relationships here. I just nodded slightly, saying nothing unnecessary. At the gate of the Mu family's old residence, I habitually surveyed the surroundings. The Mu family had stood tall in the capital for 100 years. The ancestral home had been continuously renovated, gradually evolving into its current form. It wasn't the European-style villa favored by the rich, but a traditional Chinese-style mansion, square and grand. One could find strong traces of history. Generations of the Mu family had maintained the house well. It was said that when the site was chosen and built, a master was consulted. Before the head of the family passed away, he left a will, ordering descendants not to change the address of the ancestral home, not to move the foundation easily, and never to sell the old house. If renovations were needed, they could only be done on the existing foundation. Violating it would mean losing the right of inheritance. Because of this stipulation, the ancestral home, strictly speaking, hadn't changed much. Only the superstructure had been altered. I could tell that the ancestral home indeed blessed the descendants. The fortune accumulated over so many years was faintly visible as purple energy above the house, but it also showed signs of decline, indicating that the protective effect of the ancestral home was fading. It seemed no one had tampered with the house. Then the problem must be with the descendants. I curled the corner of my mouth slightly. Now this was interesting. Happy New Year. The first greeting after entering the house. Today, not only Father Mu's family had come, the married eldest daughter had also brought her family. Oh, so this must be Xiao Chen. I'm sorry, I had something at home last time and couldn't go to Haishur. Don't blame your aunt, okay? Mu Xiaoxian immediately noticed me standing beside Pei Shuero. A new face could only be the son found by her third brother. Hello, aunt. I'm Mu Chun. I put on a well-behaved appearance. Mu Xiaoxian looked at me with a smile, her eyes discreetly, sizing me up. You look just like your father and mother. I'm their son, so of course I look like them. Mu Xiaoxuan's smile seemed to freeze for a moment. Then she said casually, so this is the cousin from that mountain temple? He really looks so rustic. Nothing like the young master of the Mu family. A boy about the same age jumped right to Mu Xiaoxuan's side, his gaze fixed directly on me, sweeping over me rudely. His tone was filled with undisguised contempt. Pei Shuero's face immediately darkened. Mu Xiaoxian quickly pulled her son back, giving a half-hearted, gentle scolding. How are you talking? I responded with an even more critical and scornful look, scanning him from head to toe carefully. You grew up by your parents' side. Fine clothes and fine food. But from what I see of your character, it seems I'm worse off than Mu Xian. The mother and son's expressions changed. Meng Sijia's face turned bright red with anger. He never expected I'd be this unpredictable. Normal people in this situation would just bottle it up. How dare he talk back in public? Pei Shuero was delighted inside, but on the surface she copied Mu Xian's earlier act. You child, how are you speaking? I replied with a deadpan face. I'm imitating him. I thought that's how young masters from the capital talk. Mu Yue was struggling to hold back her laughter on the side. Before, she was always the one being roasted by me. Today it was finally someone else's turn. Watching me not say a word to him. Why was she so happy? This cousin, though he was close with Xian, she really didn't like him. Little Xian was also a young master of the Mu family, with a noble status, pampered and spoiled. But he wasn't as arrogant and unreasonable as this guy, and he was especially selfish, acting like the whole world revolved around him. During gatherings as kids, Meng Sijia didn't dare bother the eldest sister too much, but he was different with the others. They were all forced to become his toys. No matter what, they had to give in to him. If he didn't get his way, he would throw a huge tantrum. When he got into trouble, he would push the blame onto the sisters, making them take the fall many times. When he grew up, he learned to play the victim. It got to the point where they were annoyed just seeing him. Now finally someone could put him in his place. Pei Shuero shot her second daughter a glare, signaling her to tone it down. Don't go too far. Then she turned to Mu Xiaoxian with an apologetic look. Big sister, sorry about that. Chen is good in every way, but he's too straightforward. Please don't take it to heart. After saying that, she turned to me and instructed. Of course young masters from the capital have good manners. Your cousin was just joking earlier. You can't be petty and take it seriously. Mu Xian was seething with anger after hearing that. So if he took it seriously, that would mean he was petty, right? Meng Xijia, encountering this for the first time, stomped his foot and ran off in displeasure. When no one was paying attention, Mu Yue whispered in praise. Good job. Can't indulge him. I gave her a faint glance. I'm not his parents. So of course I won't indulge him. That actually makes a lot of sense. Why didn't you think that way when you were being bullied before? Except for the eldest aunt's family, whom they hadn't met. The rest of the Mu family were there. Ren Qingyan hadn't had much contact with the few male cousins. They just introduced themselves to each other. Lu Manqi and Mu Mingyuan had 3 sons. The second and the youngest were close in age to him. The eldest son was already married, having wed an heiress from a wealthy capital family. Mu Xiaoxian and Xia Fuxing had only one son. That is Meng Xijia. Everyone was gathered together. There were quite a lot of people, making it lively. Old Lady Mu's smile never faded. Xiaoxian, why have you lost so much weight? Old Lady Mu pulled Mu Xian over to her. Looking him over, she frowned. Mu Xian touched his face, about to deny it, when Old Lady Mu turned to Pei Shuero and spoke with displeasure, accusing. Even though Xiaoxian's background was a mistake, he's been raised in the Mu family for so many years. You can't mistreat him just because of blood. Pei Shuero's expression soured. What did she mean by mistreat? When had they ever mistreated Xiaoxian? Mu Xian saw Pei Shuero's expression change and quickly explained. Grandma. No, Dad and Mom have been very good to me. I had a cold and fever a few days ago. In winter, you get sick if you're not careful. Mom and Dad have been really kind to me. Grandma, please don't misunderstand. If Mu Xian had been his usual self, he would have said those words in a coquettish tone, and Old Lady Mu would have believed him. But because of the incident with Wen Yimo, he had a huge knot in his heart, feeling that his parents must be disappointed in him. So he became a little cautious, explaining hastily. Originally, that was a good thing, but in the eyes of others, it seemed different. The more he explained, the worse it looked. Old Lady Mu held Mu Xian's hand. Xiaoxian, don't overthink it. You are still a young master of the Mu family. I'll put it out there right now. If anyone dares to make trouble for you, you call Grandma. Grandma will get even for you. As she said that, she shot a meaningful glance at me. I noticed it, but I wasn't fazed at all. I didn't find it strange either. Although Mu Xian wasn't a child of the Mu family by blood, he had been raised for over a decade. Years of affection weren't fake. The investment had been returned, and it couldn't be withdrawn overnight. Blood ties matter, but accumulated over time. So does emotional bond. I stand by my earlier words. As long as Mu Xian doesn't come after me, I have no interest in causing trouble. As for pointless jealousy, what even is that? What are you saying? Who's been bullying Xiaoxian? Xiaoxian really was sick earlier. It took a few days to get better, and he hasn't had time to recover. Father Mu was not happy with his mother's words. Honestly, if they were going to single out Xiao Chun and mistreat Xiaoxian, then why would they keep him around? To make trouble for themselves? Mu Xian looked imploringly at Old Lady Mu. Aunt, they've been really good to me. Please don't blame them. He should be grateful he could stay. After all, he's not the real young master. All right. Don't get worked up. Your grandma just cares about you too much. She's been talking about you all day. If it weren't for school starting soon, she would have wanted you to stay longer. Lu Manqi saw the atmosphere about to turn sour, so she quickly spoke up to save the moment. Old Lady Mu didn't press further. She patted Mu Xian's head, her gaze full of affection. You'll be taking the college entrance exam next year. Apply to Capital University. Then you can stay at the Mu family home. Mu Xian instinctively looked at Pei Shuero, as if seeking her opinion. Pei Shuero frowned slightly. About the college application, hadn't the family discussed it long ago? It was all up to Xiaoxian's own preference. Instead, she went along with the old lady's words. Your grandma is right. Apply to Capital University. It'll be easier to look after each other. Mu Xian was happy for a moment, but then doubt crept into his heart. Was Mom really disappointed? Did she not like him anymore? Was she making him apply to Capital University so he could stay far away from home, so he wouldn't have to be around often? His mood immediately sank, but he didn't dare show it. He could only force a smile. Luckily, he had lowered his head, or else no one knew what they would think. The Mu family stayed in the capital for 2 days. Pei Shuero thought of taking me out to explore, since I had never been to the capital before. The capital had plenty of fun and good food. The most common activity during New Year was visiting temples. That's what most people in the capital would do. And there were also grand temple fairs. They were very lively. On the 3rd day, Mu Mingyuan also got interested. He called his own family, saying it was a rare gathering, so they might as well go together. A lively crowd. So the whole family set off in 2 minivans. Meng Xijia was lost in thought and decided to join in the fun. He dragged Mu Xian into uncle's car and kicked out Mu Mingyuan's youngest son. Mu Rushue has a somewhat simple, honest mouth. She doesn't know how to flatter. Clearly a straightforward girl. She got along well with Mu Yue since childhood. Seeing the two of them close, I exchanged meaningful glances while chatting. One look confirms. Birds of a feather flock together. Mu Yue herself is a simpleton. Naturally she'd get along with the equally simple Rushue. Mu Yue noticed my look. She gave me a puzzled glance. What's he up to again? On New Year's. He better not get himself scolded again. I quickly averted my eyes. The group heads to the most famous temple in the capital. This temple has over 300 years of history, though it has survived dynastic changes and the baptism of war. It has been luckily preserved, and it is remarkably well preserved. The Buddha statue in the main hall has sat steadily for over 300 years. As always, it gazes upon the world's prosperity with compassionate eyes. I have no qualms. I step into the main hall. I kneel on the cushion with the others. Closing my eyes, I mutter silently. hoping to earn enough merit quickly to return to the City of Wrongful Death and reopen the gate of reincarnation. After mumbling for a while, I open my eyes. I meet the compassionate gaze of the Buddha statue. I pause. Why does the statue's eyes seem off? I wonder if I'm just paranoid. So I feel the statue looks strange. I stare at the statue without blinking, trying to verify if it's just me. Chen, don't stare at the Buddha statue like that. The Buddha will take offense. Pei Shuero finishes her prayers, finds her son kneeling upright, but his eyes are too bold, staring straight at the Buddha statue ahead. I look away. Mom, don't you think the expression is strange? Pei Shuero takes a casual look, quickly turns away. She says with a playful scold, "What are you thinking, child? Buddha statues are all like this. There's nothing strange. This statue in this hall has been here for over 300 years. It was crafted when the temple was built. It hasn't changed. How could there be anything strange?" Thinking that her son grew up in a Taoist temple, Pei Shuero gently reassures him. Although there are many Buddhist temples now, there are also Taoist temples. I'll take you to a Taoist temple sometime to pay respects. If I weren't the prince of the City of Wrongful Death, I would be startled by that suggestion. Although I'm not a ghost, I'm still a person of the underworld. I'm naturally not on the same path as Buddhas and immortals. Better to come to places like this less often. After all, we're not of the same sect. Before getting up, I can't help but take another look. Still feel the expression is off. At first glance, it looks very compassionate. But on second look, it gives an eerie feeling. Doesn't seem proper. Instead, after leaving the hall, I push aside my doubts. Maybe I'm just overthinking. This temple's Buddha statue has been passed down for over 300 years. Who knows how much incense it has received? If there were problems, they'd have been cleansed by the incense. Pei Shuero has been to this temple a few times. The scenery is quite nice. The capital had heavy snow before New Year. The temperature has been low these past few days. The snow hasn't melted. Perfect time to go up the mountain and see the snow. Hearing there's snow to see, I'm very interested. I've never really seen snow. Probably never have. I can't remember how long I was in the City of Wrongful Death. Before that, I probably hadn't seen it either. Otherwise, I'd have some memory. Pei Shuero watches me walking ahead. I start skipping a bit. Completely different from my usual mature composure at home. At this moment, I finally seem like a little boy. Seeing her lively son. A loving smile curls at her lips, her eyes full of affection. Yet there's still some regret in her heart. She missed her son's growth. The Mu sisters watch with fresh curiosity. They thought this little brother was a bit stiff. Turns out he's really still a child. As for why he's more mature than an adult, there's no need to overthink. Mu Yue feels a surge of sisterly affection. She silently decides to give him more leeway from now on. After all, she's the fourth sister. As they walk, Mu Yue gets a mischievous idea. She bends down and scoops up a handful of snow, shapes it into a snowball, throws it at me ahead of her. The snow hits me squarely. I stop in my tracks, turn around with a serious little face. The three Mu sisters simultaneously point at her, claiming innocence. I narrow my eyes at Mu Yue. "You're getting bold. Dare to hit me with snow." Mu Yue sees me still challenging, shaking the snow. I stare at her for a moment, suddenly smile, showing white teeth. I'm wearing a white knitted hat, with two fluffy pom-poms dangling. The brim has a cute decorative edge. When I smile like that, my small face looks chubby, like a little kitten grinning. The four sisters watch, feel a jolt in their hearts, a tingling sensation. They have the urge to go and ruffle him. So the little brother is this adorable? Compared to his usual maturity, this must be Gap Mo. I'm not about to ruin my image by laughing. From then on, in the hearts of the four sisters, a deep impression of his adorableness was left. Mu Yue is also stunned, scratches her head, thinks he might be even cuter than Xian. As she thinks this, a lump of white comes flying at her face. She reacts quickly and dodges, but doesn't make it. The snow hits her right in the face. She is stunned, thought she could avoid it. I stand with hands on my hips, smiling smugly. "You wanted to sneak attack me? Dream on." Pei Shuero clenches her fists on the side, cheering and praising her son. "Good shot, Chen. Well done. Your fourth sister deserves it. You go ahead and hit her. As long as you don't kill her, it's fine." "Mom, am I still your daughter?" Mu Yue breaks down, screams in despair. Pei Shuero casts a disdainful glance at her. "I wish you weren't my daughter. Pity you look too much like me. Probably wasn't swapped at birth." Mu Yue feels a hole stabbed in her heart. "Aren't you afraid your brother will hurt me?" she asks stubbornly. Pei Shuero waves a hand. "That only proves you're useless. So what if you get hit by a few snowballs? Could it actually injure you? If you really get hurt, that only proves you're a weakling. People will laugh at you." While talking, I shape another snowball and throw it at her. I've been wanting to teach Mu Yue a lesson. Just grows taller, not smarter. Easily provoked by others' words. Who knows what she'll do when used. Usually, I can't be bothered with her. But today she brought it on herself. I won't hold back. I'll deal with her first. So Mu Yue and I start a snowball fight. At first, she thinks because she's robust, she can't lose to a little boy in a snowball fight. Plans to vent her frustration. But who knew reality would be so harsh? She gets completely dominated. In the end, I beat him so badly he ran around covering his head. Damn it, those three ungrateful sisters just stood there watching the fun. Not a single one came to help him. A family of 8. And honestly, he's the one who was adopted, right? "What are you doing?" Mu Yue and I, who were playing around, stopped. Mu Yue secretly breathed a sigh of relief. So embarrassing, losing to my little brother in a snowball fight. It was Mu Xian and Meng Xijia. Everyone had come together. After the temple visit, they split up. Meng Xijia insisted on dragging Mu Xian along, so Mu Xian went with him. Now they just happened to run into us. Seeing Mu Yue looking a mess as she came out, her nice clothes dirty from the snow, her hair like a bird's nest, full of snow, and then looking at me, clean as can be, Mu Xian frowned. "Chun, how could you mess up fourth sister like that?" Mu Yue heard this and knew it was bad, quickly trying to explain before I could speak. But I didn't give him time. If you hadn't shouted, I would have thrown even more. Besides, he hit me first. He only hit once. And look what I did. I pelted him like a pig. Mu Xian was choked up. He opened his mouth, then muttered, "But you still shouldn't have made her look like that." Mu Yue quickly jumped in to smooth things over. "Xian, I'm fine. We were just having a snowball fight. It doesn't hurt at all. Just my clothes are a little dirty. Don't worry." Bored by Mu Xian's interference, I tossed the snowball in my hand aside, brushed my hands clean, snorted, and walked over to Pei Shuero. "Mom, let's keep going." Pei Shuero smiled and nodded. Then she looked at Mu Xian and Meng Xijia. "Since we ran into each other, let's go together. The New Year crowds are big. Easy for something to go wrong." Even though she worried about the two boys causing trouble, her eyes fell on Mu Xian. "I helped the Grandmaster once, and he promised me one thing. I never thought to cash it in before, but now I have no choice. He has to save his eldest grandson." Pei Shuero and the group walked around the temple and managed to leave without trouble. The couple's hearts were put at ease. They stayed in Beijing for 2 days, then set off back to the Mu Mansion in Haishur to handle my school enrollment. After much thought, they decided to send me to the same school as Mu Xian. Their relationship was very strained, but still, being in the same school and same class, maybe they could look out for each other a little. When the couple thought of this, they had no real confidence, given Chen's personality, expecting him to get along with Mu Xian. Impossible. But in the end, they decided anyway, holding on to a faint hope that maybe things wouldn't be as bad as they thought. During winter break, I kept taking extra lessons, tutored by my Mu sisters, and we also hired teachers to come to the house. At first, no one knew my level, what I had actually studied before, but it quickly became very clear. Although I never went to a regular school, the female official who raised me taught me a lot. I have a good aptitude, and I learned very fast. Father Mu and Pei Shuero were pleasantly surprised, and at the same time, felt incredibly relieved. Thank goodness the female official was well educated, having taught Chen so much knowledge. Otherwise, he might have been practically illiterate. Soon, the start of school arrived. That day, Father Mu postponed going to work, personally driving his son to school. In the car were a worried Pei Shuero and Mu Yue, representing the 4 sisters. Pei Shuero kept nagging in the car, but I didn't get impatient. Mu Yue, on the other hand, had heard it all before. "Mom, that's enough. He's just going to school, not off on some dangerous mission." Mu Yue rolled her eyes. "Besides, he's not boarding. He'll come home every day. What could happen?" Pei Shuero shot her a harsh look. "If you don't understand, shut up. There was an incident at that school not long ago. If it weren't for Xian studying there, and this being his last semester, I would never let Chen go to that school." Thinking about that accident, Pei Shuero felt uneasy. After all, Mu Xian was involved too. She wanted to say something, but seeing the silent Mu Xian beside her, she swallowed her words. "Forget it. I believe he knows he was completely wrong, and won't do anything foolish again. If I keep pressing him, he'll get sensitive and overthink." "Mom, don't worry. I won't let anyone bully me." I knew what she was anxious about. Not to mention I'm the Mu family's young master. Even if I were an ordinary person, if anyone dares bully me, I'll pay them back 100 times. Bullies always pick on the weak and fear the strong. If you're tougher than them, they'll end up being afraid of you. Father Mu and Pei Shuero dropped me at the school gate, but couldn't go inside. Usually, the school doesn't allow parents in, only pick up and drop off at the gate. Watching me and Mu Xian walk in, Pei Shuero was still a bit worried. Father Mu put his arm around her and soothed her. "Don't worry. Chen is a clever child. Nothing will happen. Besides, he's not one to let himself be taken advantage of." Pei Shuero shot him a faint glance, too lazy to explain further. She knew he was actually more worried than he let on. What if a fight broke out? What then? Once inside the school, I couldn't hide my curiosity, looking around carefully at the campus. Kids these days are really lucky. Boys can go to school together with girls. It only costs a little money. Such bright and spacious rooms. Such smooth, clean ground. No fear of heat in summer. No fear of cold in winter. Unlike children in the old days, only the children of upper-class nobles had decent school environments. For commoners, studying was extremely hard. Why am I thinking like this? Have I seen this before? I was briefly puzzled, but found no matching memory in my mind. I just assumed I'd heard it from a ghost. Mu Xian noticed me, looking around with amazed eyes, and silently felt contempt. He lowered his eyes to hide the disdain. "Chen, do you know where your classroom is? Want me to take you?" Mu Xian asked, standing in front of the teaching building. I gave him a cold glance. "No need." Mu Xian smiled faintly. "Then go on your own. Your class is upstairs. Easy to find. If you can't, ask a teacher." Mu Xian was relieved that I had come back right before winter break, sparing him from strange looks from others. Thinking this, Mu Xian let out a breath, turned, and walked in one direction. I, on the other hand, walked the opposite way, standing at the back door of classroom F. I looked up to check, made sure I hadn't come to the wrong place, and then fell silent. No wonder father had such a complicated expression when I said I wanted to come to class F. "You're the new student, right? Mu-chan, correct?" The homeroom teacher of class F hurried over, saw a boy standing at the back door, and paused, remembered that incident. I whipped around, stared at the teacher, taking a good look, confirmed who it was, gave a proper bow. "Hello, teacher." He was caught off guard. So formal. You even bowed to him. "Student Mu-chan, I'm your homeroom teacher. My surname is Liu. Everyone calls me Big Liu. You can call me that too. Come to me if you ever run into trouble." I shook my head gently, said seriously and firmly, "You are a teacher. You deserve respect. How could I call you Big Liu?" Respecting teachers is a basic principle. Big Liu was momentarily touched. In all his years as a teacher, this was the first time he felt his heart stir, but the feeling vanished in an instant. He quickly composed himself. Class is about to start. Come in with me. Big Lou strode into the classroom, but the students ignored him. They kept doing whatever they were doing. Loud and rowdy. Big Lou was clearly used to it. Everyone quiet down. Class is starting. First, let me introduce a new classmate. Big Lou yelled at the top of his lungs. The noise in the classroom paused. All eyes fell on me. They sized me up as I stood at the podium. Oh wow, a new student at this hour? That's pretty surprising. This good-looking guy isn't bad. He's a real hottie. Big Lou heard the chatter below. A look of embarrassment crossed his face. He cleared his throat, said gently to me, Student Mu Chun. First, introduce yourself. I nodded, my expression calm, looking at the crowd below. I'm Mu Chun. Mu, you're done for. I glanced at him, puzzled. What else am I supposed to do? That self-introduction was really brief. After introducing myself, it was time to assign seats. Big Lou was still figuring out where to put me. I glanced around the room myself, walked toward a certain spot. Seeing me sit down in a seat, Big Lou and the students' jaws dropped. All wore expressions of utter shock. Beneath the shock, they seemed eager for a show. Who told you could sit here? I turned to look at my deskmate. Can I sit here? No, I don't want to share a desk with anyone. Lu Qiuping said with a dark face. If it weren't for him being a boy, she would have kicked him long ago. Who gave him the nerve to sit next to her? I looked away, said flatly, oh, then you changed seats. Lu Qiuping and the others were stunned. After coming back to their senses, she laughed in disbelief, pointed at herself. Do you know who I am? No. She hadn't introduced herself after all. How was I supposed to know? You don't know who I am, yet you dare talk like that? Don't think just because you're a guy, I won't hit you. Finally deigned to give her a look. You want to hit me? Leave now, or I'll teach you a lesson. I thought for a moment, then said earnestly, then let's fight. You and me one fight. If I win, you'll listen to me from now on. If I lose, I'll listen to you. Deal. The classroom went dead silent. Then everyone burst out laughing. Oh man, I'm dying. He said he's going to fight Lu Qiuping. He doesn't know how tough Sister Ping is. Sister Ping, teach him a lesson. Lu Qiuping sneered, curled her lip. I never fight boys. Not worth one of my fingers. I gave a faint smile. I think you're afraid to fight me. You're scared of losing. Lu Qiuping shot up like a cat, with its tail stepped on, leaped from her seat. Me lose? That's a joke. Fine, since you don't know your place. I'll oblige you. Originally, because he was good-looking, she planned to be magnanimous and let it slide. But he didn't take the hint. Her gaze at me was full of disgust, convinced. I was just another guy trying to get close to her. Then it settled. I calmly took out my textbook, sat up perfectly straight, indicating that class was about to begin. Xiaoxian, why didn't your little brother come with you? Did your parents not put him in the same class? After Mu Xian returned to the classroom for attendance, his usual friends immediately crowded around and asked. Mu Xian pursed his lips, answered, Xiao Chun went to class F. He actually went to class F? So his grades are that bad. Didn't you say your parents dote on him? Why would they let him go to class F? Class F is just coasting through. Everyone there is planning to study abroad after the college entrance exam. Most are younger sons, are not favored. No need to worry about inheriting the family business. Just collect an allowance and coast. They couldn't care less. No one cares about their grades. As long as they don't cause trouble at school, everything else is ignored. The Mu family sent him to class F? Guess they don't love him that much. That's what I'm saying. Even though he's the biological son, he lived outside for over 10 years. Who knows what he's really like? How can he compare to Xiao Xian, who was raised with care? Looks like Xiao Xian is still the young master of the Mu family. Mu Xian hesitated for a moment. Xiao Chun didn't do well on the entrance exam. He didn't say anything. At first, Father Mu wanted to pull strings to transfer me to class A, but I firmly refused. Father Mu is a doting dad. Of course he wouldn't force his son, so I ended up in class F. Mu Xian's friends curled their lips. He can only get into class F? That's really pathetic. Xiao Xian is first in class A. What a huge gap. Mu Xian continued to explain awkwardly. Xiao Chen didn't want this either. He used to live in a Taoist temple. He never even attended a proper school. Getting into class F is already pretty good. If he studies hard, he can still transfer to another class, but it's already the second half of the semester. What's the point of transferring now? When exams are over, he'll just switch schools. You said he lived in a Taoist temple? Really? Hearing this bombshell, more students crowded around to gossip. There's nothing to say about it. Class is about to start. Hurry back to your seats. Mu Xian pushed his friends away, urged them to go back and sit down. But the more he refused to elaborate, the more curious everyone became. They could only speculate on their own. Mu Xian sat down at his desk. Eyes lowered, he opened his textbook. Quiet and obedient as always. But he suddenly turned to look at the seat beside him, where a familiar person used to sit. Now it was empty. The one who sat there was gone. Thinking of Jiang Yan, his eyes darkened. His gaze inadvertently swept over a certain spot, then jerked back as if pricked by a needle. Not daring to look again, that was Wen Yimo's seat. After the incident, everything changed. Normally, the classes coexisted peacefully, not interfering with each other. They didn't like each other. Class S was at the bottom of the hierarchy. The higher up, the more they disdained interaction. But today was different. Just after class let out, a student ran back quickly, shouting excitedly, "Big news! Big news! Someone from Class S is about to fight. Are you crazy? What's so special about a fight in Class S? It'd be strange if there wasn't one." No. The student stomped his foot. His gaze meaningful, he looked at Mu Xian. Mu Xian was confused by the look. The student deliberately acted mysterious. Do you know who's fighting Lu Qiuping? His eyes fell on Mu Xian again. Such an obvious hint. Even the bystanders couldn't ignore it. Mu Xian's expression froze. Everyone exchanged glances. A friendly guy asked, "You mean Little Shin's brother is fighting Lu Qiuping? No way. Who is Lu Qiuping? He's a senior as well. In the whole school, he's a figure everyone knows. He's been a big deal since middle school. Just a negative reputation. That's right, it's Mu Chun. That's what someone from Class F said himself. And he said Mu Chun provoked it. Said they'd meet in the grove after school. He finished and grinned at Mu Xian. Classmate Mu Xian, your little brother is really something. He actually dares to challenge Lu Qiuping. Has he been trained? He must be pretty good, right? Convinced the student wasn't joking, Mu Xian stood up abruptly and walked out. Angry and anxious inside. Is Mu Chen crazy? Going after anyone he wants. Does he think school is the Mu family, where everyone just lets him do what he wants, letting him run wild? Fuming, he headed to Class F to find Mu Chen, but halfway he stopped. He bit his lip hard, clenching his fists, his eyes flickering. If he stopped it, that would be good. Avoid trouble. Parents would blame him, but if he didn't stop him, and he actually fought Lu Qiuping, no matter what, it would cause trouble. He hadn't interacted much with Lu Qiuping, but had heard plenty, knew the Lu family wasn't ordinary. Mu Chen had provoked him. He gritted his teeth, turned, and walked back. Forget it. I don't care. Even if I go, he won't listen. Might even say something nasty, making me look bad too. Didn't they say it's after school? I'll try to talk him out of it after school. If he doesn't listen, I'll call Big Sister. Then Mom and Dad won't blame me. Class F was buzzing all morning. Big Lu heard the conversation, but didn't take it seriously. After class, he gave a few warnings, telling Qiuping not to stoop to a boy's level. It would be beneath her. After that, he left. He knew Lu Qiuping a bit. Thought she wouldn't take it out on a newbie, but he didn't expect that I wasn't one to mess with either. So as soon as class ended, Class S swarmed in a crowd towards the grove behind the school. I glanced at the students following, my gaze landing on Lu Qiuping. Thought about warning him to ask the irrelevant classmates to leave first. Otherwise they might be embarrassed later. Saving face is only human. This happened often in the City of Wrongful Death. Those who couldn't win would cry and beg me to judge. How do I judge? If you're outmatched, you accept defeat? Later, no one bothered me with small stuff. I was acting in charge for my sister. Too many affairs to handle. How could I bother with such trivialities? Lu Qiuping thought something was off with my gaze, but had no proof. How do you want to fight? Before it starts, if you sincerely apologize, I'll let this slide. I'll be generous, and not hold it against you. Lu Qiuping said arrogantly. Fighting a boy was truly embarrassing. Even winning, he'd probably be mocked. But letting it go wasn't an option either. Where would his pride go? So he had to apologize and admit fault. Fight however you're best at. Cut the crap. Let's start. I still need to get home early. The Mu family driver is probably here already. Lu Qiuping, infuriated, returned to school. Good. Someone's offering themselves up for a beating. I don't need to be too polite either. He rarely acts like a gentleman. But the other party didn't appreciate it at all. Mu Xian left as soon as class ended. His classmates thought he went to stop it. He did go, took a distant look at the grove, and turned away. He headed straight for the school gate. Arriving at the gate, he quickly spotted the Mu family car. The person getting out of the driver's seat was Big Sister Mu Wanting. His eyes lit up. He quickened his pace. Hurriedly, he said, Big Sister, you came just in time. Little Chen is about to fight someone. Go stop him quick. Mu Wanting was completely stunned. Thought she misheard. Fight? You say little Chen is fighting someone? Mu Xian looked anxious and worried. I don't know how. He just got to school and clashed with a troublemaker in class. They arranged to fight in the grove after school. And I can't talk him out of it. Big Sister, please hurry. If you're late, what if he gets beaten up? Mu Wanting panicked too. Without asking more, she headed into the school. The guard tried to stop her, but she stated her identity. Said something happened to her family's child. The guard didn't dare block her further and let her in. Mu Xian anxiously led Big Sister to the grove. His act flawless. Occasionally, a hint of anticipation flashed in his eyes. Mu Wanting was worried about her brother. Not noticing, the two hurried to the grove, but the scene stunned them both, and they fell silent. Especially Mu Wanting, now starting to doubt her life. She thought she'd see her brother being bullied. Why did you come into school? It's getting late. Let's go home. Mu Wanting finally snapped out of it after a while, saw that I had already walked several meters, and hurried to catch up. Only when back in the car did she regain her composure and voice. Her eyes were extremely complex. She looked at me with a complicated expression. I looked at her and honestly explained, oh, I just fought someone. I won. No need to tell Mom and Dad about such a small matter. Don't want them to worry, don't you think? She thought it was wrong. How could he fight someone? And why did he win? You've trained. Other than that, I can't think of any other reason. Isn't it just that I've trained? And I'm pretty good at it. In the City of Wrongful Death, besides my sister, I'm the strongest. Mu Wanting looked at me and fell silent. At that moment, Mu Xian finally caught up, opened the car door, and got into the back seat. A little out of breath. I couldn't catch my breath, so I just threw out a sentence. I don't want Mom and Dad to know about today, so they won't worry. What do you think? Mu Xian met my cold eyes. Couldn't help but feel choked. He subconsciously glanced at Mu Wanting. She was still immersed in shock. Didn't notice his gaze at all. No reaction at all. Mu Xian had no choice but to feel wronged and unwilling. He lowered his eyes. I understand. I won't mention it to Mom and Dad. Chen never mentioned anything about love. On the way, Mu Wanting couldn't help asking. You never asked? I answered with absolute certainty. Mu Wanting was momentarily choked up. After thinking, guilt rose in her heart. They hadn't cared enough about Chen since he came home. Never actively asked or tried to understand him. They even worried that Xiao Xian would be wronged. Worried that he was raised outside. His nature lacked tact and subtlety, and didn't know how to be considerate to family. Worried he'd cause chaos in the family. But he's their own blood brother. The same mother, the same womb. They only knew he grew up in a Taoist temple. Never cared about how he grew up. What kind of life he lived. After the female official passed away, those months. How he spent it alone. Whether he encountered bad things. That's why he learned self-defense techniques. When he came home, he accompanied Xuan. He immediately cared about today's school life. Asked in detail, I answered without any flaw. How could he think that his obedient son was fighting? Hearing the good stuff, he felt relieved. Mu Xian wanted to expose this matter, but he didn't dare take the risk. Finally told himself to let it go. If he told, he might not be punished. He would only end up looking bad. Why bother? This way he feels better. Recently, some guests might come to the house. Xuan, please make arrangements. At the dinner table, Father Mu remembered and said. Pei Xuan was somewhat surprised. Guests are coming to the house. How come she didn't know about this? Father Mu slightly furrowed his brows, seeming to feel a trace of confusion. It's the matriarch of the fifth family from the capital. What fifth family matriarch? Pei Xuan this time was truly shocked. They'd never had any interaction. Why would the matriarch come to visit? Father Mu thought and replied, it's not exactly a visit. The matriarch is in Haishu on business. Doesn't want to stay in a hotel. The fifth family has no house here. Big sister knew and asked us to host. How could big sister do this? Without even asking us first. We don't need to think. We know what she's scheming. The fifth family, though not top tier in the capital, their name doesn't rank high. Doesn't affect their status and influence. The fifth family is neither government nor business. They rely on divination, fortune-telling, and altering fate. It's said that the founding ancestor predicted a national catastrophe and changed the fate of the entire nation. Thus the current empire came to be. The ancestor leaked heavenly secrets, died a violent death. Although the fifth family established their position, their reputation and power reached a peak. But for every disadvantage, there is an advantage. The nation's fate was changed. How could a single life compensate for that? Since then, the fifth family's descendants have dwindled. A once large family, now only 2 branches remain. In total, only 3 offspring. 2 males, 1 female. The direct line has only 1. The worst part is, the golden child of the direct line, a few years ago, something happened. Heard he became a vegetable. Could die at any moment. Dwindling descendants. Their abilities also declined. The direct line is said to be ignorant of even one classic. Why has a noble family fallen to such a state? Truly makes one sigh with emotion. No one dares to look down on the fifth family. They are a family protected from above. The one lying down. Grew up in the presidential mansion. The supreme ruler loves him like his own child. Has spent great efforts to cure him. Has promised a reward to whoever can cure him. Even though the fifth family is declining, they are still far beyond reach. Besides, a broken ship still has 3 pounds of nails. What benefits does big sister want to gain? But what does it have to do with their family? The old lady is not young anymore. What if something happens? Who can bear the responsibility? If we entertain well, big sister gets the benefit. They get no benefit in Haishu. It's simply thankless work. Father Mu saw his wife's expression and knew what she was thinking. He also didn't want to get involved. They branched off and left the capital. Their stance is clear. No great ambitions. No grand ambitions. Just working to give his wife and children a good life. No worries about food and clothing. Money to spend and be happy. Wife wants to be a rich lady, get beauty treatments. Travel abroad, watch fashion shows. All fine. Give son the best educational environment. As a father, he can't control them for a lifetime. If they lack ability in the future, they'll live an ordinary life. He won't work like a beast of burden for them. As for son Chen, he must be taken care of for life. Suffered too much in the first half of his life. Must be compensated in the second half. Thinking that connecting with the fifth family is a good thing. Build a good relationship. Find a good marriage in the future. Can't say this in front of the children. Don't overthink it. Even if I agreed, they may not come. If we really do host them, it's also a good thing. Having more connections won't hurt. Pei Xuan could only nod. The capital side has taken the initiative. If we don't agree, big sister will have the old lady step in. The Mu family children showed interest. Only I didn't even lift my eyelids. Focused entirely on eating dinner. As if facing a rare delicacy. Father Mu saw this. Felt worried. Chen has been raised too naive. Don't know if it's good or bad. If in the future he can't find a sincere partner, marries into a wealthy family, and gets taken advantage of. If he marries an ordinary person, can't bear hardship. He wants his wife to teach him more in the future. Society is complex. Being too naive is not good. While Father Mu was thinking wildly, I had already swallowed the last bite. Satisfied, ended the dinner. Lifting my eyes, I met my father's complicated gaze. I paused, suspected that I ate too much and made him worry. I ate too much. Don't worry, I'll eat the family out of house and home. How could I know he was worried about my marriage? I arrived at school, stepped into class F, instantly noisy. The classroom was like a mute button pressed. Everyone shut their mouths, seeming to be busy with their own things, occasionally stealing a glance at me, their eyes extremely strange. I looked straight ahead, walked to my seat and sat down. Next to me, Lu Qiuping, face dark, said, "Hey, why aren't you saying anything?" Waiting for me to humiliate him? Waited and waited, no movement. I took out my textbook and started reading. He couldn't help but finally speak out. How exactly did the fight happen? This sentence made me puzzled. I glanced at him. Lu Qiuping slapped hard, stood up and glared at me. "You're messing with me?" The class is eerily quiet. The surrounding distance opened up. I blinked innocently. "Oh, you mean yesterday's fight? Didn't you lose? Now I'm your boss. How dare you treat me like this?" I frowned deeply, felt the need to establish authority, got up, left my seat, and walked to the podium. My gaze swept over the class, cold and full of pressure. From now on, I'm the boss of Class F. If you're not convinced, feel free to challenge me. From now on, you listen to me. Understand? Even though I defeated Lu Xiaoping, Class F wasn't convinced by that. I, a new transfer student, and a guy at that. Why should I be the boss? Even if Lu Xiaoping lost, there are still others here. Make them listen to a weakling guy? Don't think beating Sister Ping is enough. Who knows if you got lucky or used dirty tricks? Newbie, don't be too arrogant. We only recognize Sister Ping. I raised an eyebrow slightly. You recognize Lu Xiaoping. Lu Xiaoping recognizes me. That's a different meaning. Is this mooching crazy? I didn't waste words with others. My gaze fell on Lu Xiaoping. Do you accept yesterday's result? If not, I can't do anything to you. After all, the shameless are invincible. Of course I can't help it. What kind of hypocritical talk is this? He was so angry he let out a laugh, staring at me fiercely. He gritted his teeth and forced out 2 words. I accept. A gentleman's revenge is never too late. He firmly believed yesterday was an accident. Must have used tricks to win. He didn't even have time to see how I moved. He was already on the ground. He thought he had experienced many fights. How could he not last a single move? It was simply impossible. I was quite disdainful. I glanced at him. Did you think I wanted to be the boss? I didn't want to at all. Is being the boss easy? In plain terms, it's being a babysitter. And without pay. In the City of Wrongful Death, a babysitter's lot is toil. I didn't want to toil in the mortal world too. But for merit, what can I do? Coming to Class F was an accident. The bloodstain had already agreed. But while walking down the hallway, I noticed something off. 2 wisps of energy were swirling in the air. One black, one purple, tiny wisps interweaving. The purple wisp was becoming weaker. Soon it would be suppressed by the black. Purple energy means a noble person, paired with black baleful energy. The situation wasn't good. I immediately became interested. Helping a noble person remove baleful energy to accumulate merit. I learned that below was Class F, meaning the noble person was in Class F. Of course I couldn't just let it go. I had to observe. That's why I enrolled in Class F. Lu Xiaoping was lucky. An unlucky noble person. Lu Xiaoping, you're not looking at me. The 5th family really is coming to our house. At the dinner table, the matter was brought up again. It wasn't a discussion. It was an announcement that the 5th family people were coming. Mu Ruolin and Mu Yakin felt that since there were elders, they didn't need to worry too much. They were more open-minded. Mu Xian half lowered his eyes. His mind was racing. I alone was oblivious to the world outside, focused only on shoveling food into my mouth. Pei Shuero's emotions became complicated. Her nature is simple. What will she do in the future? Not taking such a big matter to heart. Her heart is really big. Xiao Chen, what do you think of this matter? Pei Shuero suddenly asked. I was savoring the delicious food. I was startled. Blinking, I saw everyone looking at me, as if waiting for my opinion. I had to put down my chopsticks. Swallowed the food. Thought for a moment. Since they want to come, we'll just receive them properly. Treat them as ordinary guests. Mu Xian heard this. Couldn't help but retort. That's the 5th family. How can we receive them as ordinary guests? If they wanted to be treated as VIPs, there are many places. People who can afford it can get service at hotels too. But they didn't. Instead, they're coming to our house. Why? Don't want to be treated like precious darlings? Not everyone wants to be coddled. Father Mu's brows furrowed, as if deep in thought. Soon his brow smoothed, and he smiled. Xiao Chen makes sense. The 5th family isn't about putting on airs. Since they're coming to our home, proper etiquette should be enough. Being too grand would seem sycophantic. Pei Shuero also understood. Xiao Chen is very right. The old lady is low-key. People in the capital rarely see her appear. She's someone who doesn't like to show off. Treating her as an ordinary guest is fine. Otherwise, what nice place couldn't she find? Father Mu pondered for a moment, then said, let's do it that way. Actually, he also thought it was strange. Not going to a stranger's home as a guest. How did she think of the Mu family? He asked the eldest sister in the capital. Got scolded. She said a good opportunity had fallen on others. She would definitely seize and make good use of it. But he was trying to push it away. Why bother with the details? What could the 5th family possibly want? Even if their fortune was given away for free, they wouldn't want it. He hung up the phone on the spot. The 5th family couldn't possibly scheme against the Mu family. Since they're coming, let's be at ease. Just don't offend the 5th family. Not interested in benefits. Auntie can scheme on her own. Receiving the old lady was decided. Mu Xian saw that they actually agreed. Didn't know what to say? If this isn't nonsense, what is? Letting them make fools of themselves. Joking with their future and reputation. He wanted to say something, but swallowed his words. Forget it. Once the 5th family stays at home, then figure it out. All right. He made up his mind to look out for himself. I didn't take the family guest to heart. The old lady doesn't affect me. I don't have to entertain her. Better think about how to subdue Lu Xiaoping. In the blink of an eye, it's been over half a month since enrollment. I've adapted very well. I think kids nowadays are too lucky. Boys can also go to school. If ability allows, you can keep studying. This is an excellent thing. In the past, I definitely never experienced this. The Class S people saw me become the boss on my own. In class, serious and well-behaved, no messing around. After class, diligently review and do homework. Like a model student. Our Class F isn't a sleeping class, Sister Ping. Are we just going to keep on like this? He's going to turn us into a real class. Ji Lingshuang shouted in despair. Mu Chun is getting more and more excessive. It's one thing for him to be a good student, but forcing us to be good students too. No horseplay to disrupt the lesson. No skipping class. No not doing homework. And on top of that, he even does spot checks. If you can't answer, you get punished. Until you understand. He's not a student. He's the homeroom teacher, isn't he? Even Big Lu isn't as dedicated as him. Is he crazy? Lu Xiaoping thought of this. Her mouth twitched. At first, she provoked. He defeated her. Suppressed Class F's rebellion. Thought he was so tough. Would do something earth-shattering. Could it be that the legendary victory? Lu Qiuping was also very irritated. Can't beat him in a fight. What can I do? Thinking back on that creepy incident, I refuse to accept it. Can't beat the guys. Want to regain my prestige, but afraid of losing face. I need to make absolutely sure. Feels like Mu Chen isn't simple. I'll put this on hold for now. I need to go back to the capital. We'll talk when I get back. Lu Qiuping furrowed her brow, saying irritably, a hint of aggression in her tone. Ji Lingshuang thought silently for a moment, not daring to speak. Anyone who knows Sister Ping well understands. She resents and loathes the capital deeply. Every time she returns, her mood turns sour, depressed, violent, and oppressive. No one dares to provoke her. Lai Qingqiu patted Sister Ping's shoulder. If something's wrong, just say it. Don't bottle it up. Ji Lingshuang quickly chimed in. We're sisters. Lu Qiuping let out a scoff, glancing sideways at them. Going back to the capital isn't jumping into a fire. What's there to be afraid of? The two exchanged glances, saying nothing. She's afraid of returning to the capital. The incident 2 years ago, she didn't take it seriously at the time. But when she came back, she was half dead, covered in bruises and wounds. Under her clothes, nothing was intact. Red, swollen, purple, veins ready to burst at any moment. The slightest touch made her flinch. She trembled all over while recovering, only getting better after over a month. Afterward, she went back to her usual self, as if nothing had happened. When they cautiously asked, she became strange, cold, with a chilling stare that pierced through people. They didn't dare ask further. It left psychological scars, but she knows they care about her. Lu Qiuping gave a faint smile, warmth flickering in her eyes. All right, stop being so soft. I'll protect myself. I'm not a kid anymore. I'll fight back. On the third day, I noticed Lu wasn't around. I thought she just didn't show up, but it turned out she was absent. I waved Ji Lingshuang over, gesturing like I was calling a dog. He wanted to ignore me, pretend he didn't see, but felt a chill run through his body. Wrapped in a cold aura, shivering, he instinctively looked over, caught me staring straight at him with a smile, a cold glint in my eyes. He couldn't help but tremble. He felt it was better to come over, because who knew what would happen otherwise? It definitely wouldn't be pretty. What? You got a problem? I asked harshly. Where's Lu Qiuping? He wanted to talk back, but faced with my dark eyes, he didn't dare. Sister Lu asked for leave. She's not coming. I rested my chin, thinking, took leave? That's not good. Her luck is turning bad. There's an omen of disaster. Harm to herself. Her spirit isn't stable, and the dark energy is suppressing her purple aura. That's not a good sign. Where did she go on leave? What was she doing? Ji Ting exploded at this interrogation. What's with the third degree? Treating us like criminals? Even if you call yourself the leader of Class F, you don't have the right to treat us like prisoners. I looked at Ji Lingshuang, baffled. Then, at the name Ji Lingshuang. Honestly, speechless. I was on leave on the third day. The Mu family decided to treat the guests properly, so we had to put on a show. Father Mu waved his hand, and the whole family mobilized, taking leave to welcome the honored guest at home. I had no objection. If they said take leave, I took leave. Little did I know Class F was in chaos. The ones who mocked me yesterday, after the prank, just brushed it aside. My words went in one ear and out the other. Class, home, sleep, business as usual. Went to bed early, in a pretty good mood. Something unexpected happened. Woke up, wanted to call for something, but found no sound came out. Thought I wasn't fully awake, so I shouted louder. My expression changed. No sound. Felt like a dream. I touched my throat, opened my mouth. Nothing. Screamed silently, and rushed out. The Pooh family was in an uproar. No one connected it to yesterday. They thought it was an illness. Hospital checkups showed nothing wrong. Vocal cords perfectly fine, but couldn't speak. Mouth open, no sound. Doctors attributed it to psychological issues. Since life had been smooth, no incidents, they recommended rest at home. Adjust the mindset. Might recover in a few hours. They listened to the doctors. Class F was buzzing. Pu Lei and a few others are in trouble. Someone lowered their voice mysteriously. Ji Lingshuang's sharp ears caught it. What happened? A classmate sitting nearby, full of gossip, said, Sister Ning, my family lives near the Pu family. The servant was walking the dog, and I heard Pu Lei suddenly went mute this morning. People around doubted it. How can someone just go mute for no reason? He was chatting on voice last night just fine. It's true. The servant told a relative. The hospital couldn't find anything wrong. Blamed it on psychological reasons. And some of his close friends all took leave today too. The surroundings went quiet. They looked at each other, not knowing whether to believe it. It was unbelievable. No one connected it to yesterday, except Ji Lingshuang. And Lai Qingqiu's heart skipped a beat. They remembered what I said yesterday. I'll punish you 3 days of silence. Ji Lingshuang got goosebumps all over, feeling a chill. This is too creepy, Qingqiu. Is this related to Mu Chen? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? He said it yesterday, and today it happened, exactly like the punishment. That's way too much of a coincidence. Lai Qingqiu frowned, then took a deep breath. Coincidence or not, from now on, let's not mess with him. This guy is truly unfathomable. If it really was him, our fate would probably be even worse. Ji Lingshuang nodded frantically. She thought so too. From that day on, the atmosphere in class changed. No one dared to shout or cause trouble anymore. Everyone obediently listened and read books. I watched all this with satisfaction. As long as they stopped causing trouble, I couldn't be bothered to use my methods. The following days were peaceful, but the online controversy grew more intense. Wen Yimo's parents produced evidence, handing it directly to the police. The police launched an investigation and gathered evidence. The truth of what happened at the mall back then was exposed. Jiang Yan and several involved classmates were all given major demerits by the school and were required to withdraw. The matter could no longer be covered up. Mu Xian was restless at home too, on edge all day, his mind in a daze. The Mu family watched the news reports. learning that Jiang Yin was implicated in a murder case. They were all shocked and shaken. All of them felt stunned and terrified. Pei Shuero looks at Mu Xian and asks, "Little Xian, you honestly tell Mom what Jiang Yin did. Did you take part in it?" Mu Xian's face turned deathly pale from fear, and he fell to his knees with a thud. "Mom, I really didn't participate in harming anyone. I was just watching from the sidelines. At the time, I didn't dare stop them. I truly know I was wrong." Father Mu and the several older sisters listened, their eyes filled with deep disappointment. Although he hadn't directly pushed anyone, standing by indifferently and condoning the act is equally an unforgivable evil. Father Mu made his decision coldly. "The Mu family can't accommodate someone like you. I'll give you a sum of living expenses. Move out and live on your own. From now on, conduct yourself well." Mu Xian cried and begged everyone, but this time no one was soft-hearted or biased. Even Mu Yue turned her head away. Although he wasn't usually very bright, he could still tell right from wrong. Mu Xian was eventually sent out of the Mu family. Their family businesses faced boycotts, one after another going bankrupt or facing closure. This was complete retribution. Wen Yimo looked at me from across the room, resentment gone from his eyes. "Thank you for seeking justice for me. Seeing them get what they deserved, I can finally leave in peace." I smiled and nodded. "Go on, go be reincarnated. In your next life, you will be safe and smooth." He turned into specks of starlight and dissipated. A surge of pure merit flowed into my body. I felt my power become much fuller. Life returned to its usual calm. I became the stabilizing pillar of Class F, leading the whole class in a comeback. Lu Qiuping also put away her streetwise attitude and got into a decent university. In the Mu family, I enjoyed the warmth of family. Mom, Dad, and my sisters all dote on me. Although I'm still sharp-tongued and love to jab at people, they know I have a kind heart, so they tolerate my little temper. Life in the human world is pretty wonderful. As for the identity of the young lord of the City of Wrongful Death, after I finish experiencing this life here, I'll go back and take over those matters then.